Let's talk Tridactyls with your host, Mr. Ed. How's everybody doing? Welcome to another show. I like to do a 44-minute show. That's about the time an hour show goes after commercials. And that's nowadays I probably have less and less time to be so engaged. Sometimes when people join me and the conversation gets going, well, then that's different. I can sometimes, hey, Rebirth, I put the link in the WhatsApp chat. I'm never sure how to get in touch with you, my man. I don't know what's the best deal, bro. So your link is there in the WhatsApp chat. So we got Albert hanging out there. I've been back into the research, which I'm glad. I took a little bit of a break, deal with some personal issues, really with the home and the city. So I've just started re-engaging some of the things I've already touched upon, which, this pneumatic area here that I give the nickname the Kappa. The reason I give the nickname the Kappa, if you're familiar with the Japanese yokai, I believe those are a not too distant memory of the Tridactyls, the Kappa. Definitely take a look at those. They're very popular still in Japan. So is the Dogu. The Dogu are these, again, related to fertility, they say, and this is not my analysis. This is other archaeologists. Okay. Isn't he in that group, though? In fact, I'm reading, people are like, who are you talking to? Send link to Fat Jesus. He's in the same group, though. He's in the Rebirth. He's in the Rebirth. That sounds wrong. He's in the WhatsApp. Jeez. Or can't you just copy and paste it? Send it to him. I don't know. I never know where to, again, I don't know where to find you guys. Half the time you guys say you don't see it. So anyway, this pneumatic region, which is actually might just be a fontanelle like you find in humans. When I was looking at Louisa from the underside scan, it was clearly a fontanelle-like shape, a star-like shape. I don't know if that has any sort of significance to it. A star or cross-like shape. Maybe. I like to think there's a reason for all our symbolism. But looking there is where I predicted I'd find the third eye. Little did I know there'd be 4 eyes, dual photoreceptors, like in an extinct, Sanwa sangenis? Okay, yeah, take your time. All right, so they got the link, so that's good. So we'll be joined by Rebirth and Fat Jesus. What names? I just call people Rebirth. I'm not supposed to say Fat Jesus' real name, but it's Jesus. So there's actually two dual photoreceptors there, a parietal eye on the surface, like you'd find in a tuatara reptile, and then what I believe is a pineal gland just below the surface. And you can see this in lampreys because there is actually, while the pineal gland is below the surface, there appears to be a sort of pineal eminence, which is why I guess it's dual photoreceptors. Now, what would you use these dual photoreceptors for? What would you use a parietal pineal complex in the skull? It could regulate circadian rhythms. It could regulate reproduction if it's a parthenogenic creature that gives birth without a mate. It could aid in direction. Imagine that. Imagine this parietal pineal gland collecting the light from the stars and being able to use that to navigate. Sometimes I think that's maybe what our whole, I saw Rebirth posted something about the beginning of sun worship, that sun worship is probably not even about the sun, I'm guessing. It might be about the cycle, the birth cycle of these beings. Wouldn't that be interesting? So the other thing we talked about during the week is the ear bone. I see somebody's in the waiting room. Who's that? That's Rebirth. I'll be right with you, Rebirth. You said 15 minutes anyway, so we'll give you some time. Give me some time to chit chat. So here we got Alberto, who I like to call Vulcan. Now, I like to call him Vulcan for a couple of reasons. Again, I think the namers missed an opportunity here. So I'm reminded of the lame god Hephaestus, aka Vulcan to the Romans. And what we have here is a implant. I wonder if I will be able to center on that. Just centered everybody. I wonder if we can find that implant right here. You guys watching? Good. Let's check out the Hausfeld units on that. The intensity. And let's see, we got something in the way. Kind of low intensity compared to what we saw before. There it is. 7,000. That's high. That's good. Okay. Yeah, we can get up to like 10,000 on metal there. So we got 7,000 intensity. So if we just move over to the bone, 500, 1,300. And since we're going to be talking about the ear bone today, let's check out the intensity on that. We did this last week on a different specimen, different implant. So we're looking at Mr. Alberto here. And what do we got? 2690. So significantly different than the implant as far as Hausfeld units go, as far as intensity. So why I want to talk about Alberto today, since I have been talking about the ear bones, the otic complex, the otic capsule, I guess we could call it, is that what's unique about Alberto, besides his hip plant and besides his neck, he's got a porn star's neck. Yeah. But it's his ear bone is on the outside. His left ear bone. It's as though, and now it's as though his ear bone was removed from the interior of his skull and placed on the outside of the skull. Alberto's also the one that I first noticed the parietal pineal complex on there. I wonder if we can get that. It's kind of small, it's kind of subtle, but if you ever want to look for these things yourself, there's a parietal foramen that separates, oopsie. So there's a parietal foramen, it's sort of a canal, I guess you'd call it, that separates the face and the supraorbital arches, the eyebrow arches from the back of the skull, where the sagittal crest begins. And again, the sagittal crest is very subtle. It's not like on the supposed llama skulls. It's very subtle. And that's that crest that runs down the center of his skull. So we're just seeing if we can even find these tiny little parietal pineal complexes. Let's go ahead and let's split him in half, his skull at least, so we can see if, I don't know if he even has his right ear bone, to be honest. We don't need to look at the feet today. Whoa, hey, too much. How's everybody doing out there? I hope you're enjoying the show. Looking at Alberto today. Now, is that his ear bone out of place? Or that's just that, no? Yeah, see, like, I don't even know where his right ear bone is. Is it gone? Did they remove it while they were in there? Is that what we're seeing? Was the left ear bone removed and placed on the exterior of the skull? I'm reminded of some myths of the mind-born motif. Did something come out of that skull? Is that damage there that was pieced together? Is that why this piece of the skull appears to be separate? Now, there are complaints when I use this one from the experts that it's not accurate, because I guess there's the computer, I guess, will make its own conclusions, I guess. I don't know the exact details, but I know they don't like using the 3D scans, but I tend to use the 3D scans because it just looks cooler. So I'm not even, again, I don't see his otic capsule on the right side. I almost feel like they took it out. I don't see it on the left like we saw on the other one. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's bring him back. Bring him back. He's so cool looking. I hate to dissect him as such, right? It's like, let's go back and look at the whole groovy form. So what else can we say about Mr. Alberto? Well, could we find that parietal pineal complex? We can take a closer look at this kappa region, and we may have to switch settings here, these presets that they have. This preset, you can see that it is pneumatic. There's a sinus cavity there. Of course, I should always mention, I am not a radiologist. I am not a medical doctor. I am an archaeologist, former archaeologist even, and former paleotech, which you won't see a lot of. A lot of archaeologists are specialized. What's that up there, you wonder? What setting is this? Oh, this is just the typical, I don't want to say x-ray. The term escapes me at this time. But I do like to look in here. And are we seeing some soft tissue in there? What could that soft tissue be? Another setting I like. So this one here is, I actually put it on cardiac, hoping it would help us with the parietal pineal complex. Let's see what else might help with that. I think AI recommended chest volume for some reason. You can see the remains of his brain there. You know, one of the interesting things about Alberto that got me thinking, here's another cool thing about Alberto, is that supposedly Alberto has 2 brain masses in his skull, which made me suggest that looking closer at the skull, that they might literally have 2 brains. Wouldn't that be neat? What else can you see on here? You can see the rostrum beak. So, of course, some people suggest, you know, their immediate guess is that this is an animal skull, a llama skull or something that's been like glued together. Of course, Alberto does look pretty piecemeal, as though he may have suffered some damage. But the experts say there is no evidence of any sort of gluing or piecing together. In fact, even the AI has been super helpful lately, like really just diving in and offering a lot of information. So here we're looking at what appears to be one of the brain masses in Alberto. That's exciting, right? Do you like that stuff? Oh, it looks like we got Jesus in there too. Okay. I see we got 2 people. Cool. Looks like Jesus is ready to go. Let me, before we bring him on, let's set up the screen so we can have everybody's faces, including Alberto, who I like to call Vulcan because of his hip implant and because of his ear being on the outside of his skull. It looks like a Spock ear. All right, so how are we going to set this up? I feel like they changed the layout on me, so I'm having trouble figuring out how to make it look cool. Maybe if I just take him in, it'll help decide for me. So let's welcome Mr. Jesus, who I haven't talked to in a while, so that'll be nice. There he is. He's got a fun hat on. Can't hear him, though. He's muted. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You're just talking away, and I don't hear nothing. Gosh. Well, will you figure out your microphone mutation? I will see if... Oh, here we go. Well, that's a cool setting. I like this one, too, especially when we have Rebirth on. That's a fun way to set it up.
Oh, what's up, everybody?
There he is. What's up, stranger? I haven't talked to you in forever. It's kind of nice.
You know, I have been here. I've been doing some podcasts with Rebirth of the Word here. We've been
he'll be joining us in a second. Sweet. So, what have your podcasts been about?
Oh man, it's about a variety of things. We done one recently about UFOs.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, that was fun. And then another one with AI as well. And our arguments were about how AI could possibly are making us dumber. And then the other side is how AI is advancing humanity and its technology and it's making us smarter.
Honestly,
So there's
AI
both
is
sides.
just what I always wanted the internet to do in the first place. You know,
True.
it's like that's like if anyone watched Star Trek, how many times on the show did they say computer? And the computer tons of stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know how that
you
makes
know, I
you.
have to agree with you on that. Truly, that is true. Yeah.
I don't know how it makes you dumber. It's gonna be making you smarter, I think.
I'm gonna go ahead and help you on here and just stream.
Great. So yeah, since I've been talking about the otic ear capsule lately, which multiple sources, including myself as a source, have suggested that this otic ear capsule, since it's so robust and enclosed that it alludes to a marine life creature, a water creature. And again, I have to emphasize, this ear bone on all the other specimens is in the skull. On Alberto,
Wow.
it's on his exterior. And so because of his hip implant, because of this pointed ear right up here, I'm like, they missed the opportunity to call him Vulcan. And then we're looking at the brains within, which is fun.
I mean, before Vulcans, there were fairies and pixies.
Right. Exactly.
And also elves. People were talking about elves with pointy ears. I mean,
So here we
even
can see-
goblins have ears, pointy ears too, right? I mean, we're talking about old stories. We're talking about people
Sure.
passing on very old stories on children's books and stuff like that. But how far back are we talking about with these stories, and where did they get these ideas in the first place? Seems like my going theme, honestly.
What's your going theme?
Yeah, it's like, where did they get this idea in the first place?
Right.
You know?
And that's my whole thing about religion and symbolic language.
True.
So here's the ear bone from the other side.
Look at that.
This is I called one of the skeptic killers, if you ask me. This is one of those things.
Why is that?
Well, because they don't have an explanation for it. They know nothing about it. They don't talk about it.
It's brand new.
It's almost like an ace in the hole. It's like, yeah, well, what about this?
They still got to analyze it, go through with a lot of ideas about what it is. It's unusual. They can't compare it with a human anatomy in some way. They're trying to compare apples to oranges. So they're trying to say, well, this doesn't. I mean, if it doesn't look like human, then then this is what it is. Or does it look like an ape? Or does it look like a rhinoceros? We're trying to compare it with something that is on Earth. But what if it's not from Earth? What do we compare it with?
AI is saying that is not a typical mammal ear bone, and it's alluded to archosaurs, which is the umbrella group that encompasses both dinosaurs and reptiles. So the AI has been super helpful lately. I'm really happy with it. I don't know if it's because I've been using the same ChatGPT for so long that I've educated it, but when I asked it questions like about the hand bone the other day, it just blasted out a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh,
now it's interesting. Your Google, though, you're so right about Google.
Yeah, what do they say?
What's weird sometimes about the AI, it doesn't matter which one it is. They have to bring up, well, some researchers think that this might be a fabrication. And I'm like, I didn't ask you that, AI.
Yeah, why does it bring up
Why does it bring it up when
something that I never asked for? They include
It's weird. It's
into
like
the
arguing
conversation.
it's like arguing with the skeptic. I'm
like-
like, I didn't ask you that. I have to say, like, just analyze it.
It's like it's like somebody. It's like a TV show. And by the way, Crest makes your teeth shine. I'm like, I didn't ask for that in this TV show.
It's like with
so
being
does
with an
other
argumentative
brands.
person.
Why are you bringing up Crest? You know,
it's like being with an argumentative
well,
person.
Coca-Cola tastes better. You know, why are you even bringing up Coca-Cola? Maybe I like drinking water.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing, AI? Why are you advertising something that I'm not asking for? AI is supposed to work for me. You know, I mean, I don't know. It's maybe it's a slave mentality. You know, maybe I'm trying to treat AI as a slave. I don't know. I'm making it think for me, or maybe AI is thinking for itself. You guys be the judge.
I usually say things like, you know, please leave out the, you know, social analytics there, whatever your, the social commentary.
Well, people say that AI is programmed to say the things that it's saying. So somebody is programming those things into it. Think about that. Think long and hard. Think long and hard. Who's programming the AI to say the things that they say?
Oh, this strange image as I zoom in here. What is that we're looking at? So yeah, it's fun to kind of just, I haven't, you know, really been looking at the scans. In fact, with Alberto, you have to like delete one of the files just so the 3D comes up, because it's like blocking it. So then I have to like remember, okay, which file do I delete? So unfortunately, I don't know with my computer or this program, 3D Slicer, which, by the way, everyone, anybody can go to tridactyls.org, our friend's site, Mr. Chavez's site, and you can get Maria's DICOM files yourself. Or you can go to the-alien-project.com, and they have a bunch of these up for a really fun interactive 3D business.
I think the reason why things slow down, if you have a 32 32 gigs of RAM, it's going to take a toll on the computer. You have 64 gigs of RAM, you'll do a lot better. I have 128 gigs of RAM on my computer, so I could multitask. I have 4 monitors, so I have to have 128 gigs of RAM. And because of that is I can have multiple programs at the same time occurring on different screens, and my computer won't lag or bog down. I also have 16 cores, so that's another thing. Depending on the program has to use efficiently the computer and everything else and the cores for everything to be efficient. So it really all depends on the program. And it also depends on how the computer manages everything.
Okay. So I have it on a soft tissue setting right now. That's why the bones are really intense. You can go to the advanced setting over here on the left. I don't know if it shows up on your screen, and we can draw down the intensity of the.
Why does it look like there's a creature with a mouth facing downward?
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
it looks like an eye. It looks like an eye and a mouth.
That's what I'm trying to zero in on. It is on the soft tissue setting, so that should be of interest. And if you notice, there's other blobs or blurs in other places as well. No, we could always.
It could be just a pareidolia, right?
Could be just a pareidolia.
Yeah. Because the reason why we say pareidolia is because it's not a live specimen. So a live specimen, things would move around.
Yeah, it's not super clear.
Yeah.
We could always go to a different.
It's a mummy. So it's like a still shot. It's like a photography of a time it existed. You know, it's just.
But at the same time, we have to keep in mind that the brain is coming up as part of the soft tissue. Note the red box of analysis here is the same as
Remember, people,
what we're
if you're
looking at here.
if you're brand new to this is not a real live tridactyl where it's like wet inside. Like, it's not like you and I where the blood is flowing and everything. Like, I think people need to know that this is a mummy. It's dried out.
Yeah, desiccated.
Completely. You know, diatomaceous earth does that. You know, what else do you use diatoms on? You could use diatoms to ward off insects.
Yeah.
You know, it's healthy to have diatomaceous earth around the house. It's safe for the animals. So
to a degree, you
yeah,
don't want to be breathing in that stuff.
Well, yeah, no, not at all. But
look at, even though we're
better
looking
than
at
bug spray.
Even though we're looking at a soft tissue setting here, look at all the intensity still. Now we can run over this with our house filled unit. So as I run over this black space, it comes up in the negative, right? Because it's air.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't think it's showing up. It's just below this line here. I can't. It's not. It showed up last week. Maybe it's because of the setting we have on the screen here. But that air is coming up negative 1066. And then if we move over to this high intensity beak, it's up in the 500s. What does this soft tissue in the brain bring us? Still saying air. You can move in a little bit. Right? 148.
That's the brain?
That is a brain. Here, take a look from another angle.
Really small.
Well, again, it's dry, right?
Yeah.
It's dry and it's dropped down into the skull. So we can look at it with a different setting. What might be good for this? Oh, actually, there's a couple settings called brain.
I could look up what does the human brain.
The CT scanner does have a brain setting, so we can see if that helps. But I don't know if the traditional settings always work so well. Provides a great color, though. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, where's Rebirth, by the way? There he is.
When a human brain mummifies, it dehydrates and shrinks roughly from 20% to 50%, about 1/5 to 1/2 of its original volume. This severe reduction occurs at the 75% to 80% water content in living brain tissue completely evaporates inside the skull.
So this is actually, there's two different brain settings on the CT scans.
Hey, Rebirth, what's up, man?
What's up, y'all? Hey, so I wanted to show you guys something. So you guys always know that I'm always trying to find
the truth.
To the story, I guess you could say. Yeah, the truth is, I'm trying to find it, but that's kind of hard. But we're trying to find things in similarities, wonder things, why is things so similar to other places. So I'm gonna be going over this book soon. But I got this book right here, right? It's called Beyond the Ubaid, the Transformation and Integration in the Late Prehistoric Societies of the Middle East. So
that's your next podcast, right?
Yeah, well, no, it's not the next one. It's one of the next ones. I got some pictures that I want to share with you too, because it's always the three fingers that we always talk about. So you know how I always talk about the Sumerians, right? And I only say that they're the first civilization because of the simple fact that that's what most academics say. Academia says that they're the first civilization because of their writing system. And their writing system went from one period of time all the way up to possibly 1 AD. So like anywhere from 3200 BC to 1 AD. But I always talk about the Ubaidians or Ubaidians. Some people say it differently, but the Ubaidians, these are the people who actually inhabited the land before the Sumerians. In every mythology that I've read, there's always some type of reptilian-like species that's either very intelligent or something that's wicked or something that's more advanced in technology of some sort or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And,
I mean, if you get enslaved by an intelligent species or a race, I would consider them pretty evil, wouldn't you? You know, if I was enslaved by them, I would be like, damn, these people treat me bad.
So that book I was just showing, I'm sharing my screen if you want to bring it up real quick, Ed, because I found some things that's interesting in it.
How do I just do that? I only see you. Oh, it's a separate screen, right? Yeah. Okay, I see it now.
Yeah, so a lot of people, I mean, you guys talk about the reptilians and all this stuff and the three fingers and stuff like that. Well, that book I was just showing you about, if you look at this right here, you see the tridactyl effect right here, right?
Oh wow!
Also,
look at that.
elongated bodies, elongated heads.
Yes. You see the cross,
Dude, that's so.
which I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. I'm going
my
to show you some.
favorite.
I got a couple of pictures, so I'm going to show you a lot of similarities. Now, this period goes back to possibly so far. The latest date was 10,000 BC. Well, they called the Ubadians because of their type of pottery. It's not a writing system. It's not a civilization. It's not a certain technology. It's pottery. It's literally pottery. That's why they're considered that. But they go back almost 10,000 BC. Now, this is the same. Now, I'm going to say it because it's going to be my second or third time saying it live. I believe this culture, these group of individuals, is where we get all these symbols and signs and all this stuff. Meaning that when you look at Göbekli Tepe and you see those little T-pillars and you see all those similarities on there, the signs and symbols, you're looking at this culture right here. And I say that because the Ubadians are found, their culture is found all over Mesopotamia, plus Iran, Turkey, and other places. It's not one place. It's a lot of places. That book is literally, I'm telling you, I'm gonna go over it soon. But my point is you see the cross and then you see the tridactyl effect. Whenever you look at the cross, it's always indicator of some type of a god or entity of worship or something like that. It's usually a sign of that's what it's relating to. This is right here. And then you can, let me see, where's the other one at? Is it on this one? Yeah, here you go. You see the goats, the sheep possibly herding, elongated head, body of some sort. When you look at vases and all kinds of life, tree of anything, look, elongated, some type of species with a vase. This is all on their pottery. You can see horns on there. Hold on, let me bring up another one. I'm gonna bring up another one. Then we got this one right here where we have elongated heads that they actually, because a lot of people say, well, they don't have actual beings or dug up skeletons from that time frame, and I'm like, yes, they have. The next one that I just screen shared, this is an elongated head from that area of some type of the Ubadians or Ubadians or something like that. So obviously this is elongated, and I know this is on the other side.
And really,
of the
that
world.
looks, to me, that looks just like Maria or just like Montserrat.
And that's why I'm bringing this up, because
this is one of those things that traditional archaeologists are going to say, well, it's just coincidence that all these different cultures all over the planet did the same thing. How do you feel about that?
Now, see, this is what I've learned, is that people do things to their body for all kinds of different reasons, religious reasons, telling a story reasons, all kinds of different reasons. They even, this section, when they're talking about it, because this is not the only picture. There's a lot of pictures that I have here. I wanted to bring up. Go ahead.
Yeah. I wanted to mention about the brain, the shrinkage of the brain real quick. Not all Egyptian mummies are missing their brain in CT scans. They actually did a practice where they removed the brain through the nose and the nostrils when they mummified, before they mummified them.
Yeah, that's what
it's kind of crazy. I mean, different cultures, different in history. So when they did a CT scan, some of the mummies didn't have brains at all. And so there's no way of knowing if the brains would actually shrink inside one of these mummies as well. So and imagine that with elongated skulls. I mean, different cultures did some wild things back then with the human body. And now Rebirth, you can continue on. I just wanted to add that little tidbit so people can have an idea what people were doing back then to the human body.
Yeah, so the next one that I just shared with you is actually, this is the chapter where it talks about, remember how I always talk about those reptilian like things that they always.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most famous artifact from the Ubaid culture, are these supposed lizard-headed women.
And you brought this up before
Fidian.
there, Ed. That same artifact on your show.
And these fragments were found in 1920s, bro. So, and they were found in Eridu. So when I said that the Ubadians or Ubidians, however you want to say it, when I said that these people were in what is it called? One location or one culture. No, they were all over Sumer or Mesopotamia, in Iran and Turkey and places. They were all over. They literally have a page of all the locations that they were at. So a lot of people who believe that they were Sumerians, like possibly like Samuel Noah Kramer, were probably the Ubadians. They just, and that's why a lot of people consider that the Sumerians considered everything. But this is the thing that's about the Sumerians. The Sumerians, when they came around, or the Akkadians, I should say, when the Akkadians came around, they took the belief of the Ubadians, because in this book it says the culture of the Ubadians, and even cultures before it. It even talks about cultures before, like Halaf, Halaf. That's a culture that they feel like that came possibly around the same time or before the Ubadians. I mean, it's a mystery, but anyway, they talk about how, you know, it's just basically the similarities between all these cultures that they talk about these lizards. And like I said, when I was talking about, I know that they're from not, you know, nowhere near Peru or anything like this, but this has been talked about all over.
Yeah, look how similar this Dogu is, from the wide shoulders to the marks on the shoulders, even the position of the arms. I wonder if there was a child here at one point on this missing arm. That would make sense too, why it could have fallen off, quite possibly.
So yeah, so this last one that I'm about to show you explains exactly why people do what they did. And in so many words, if you read between the lines, it's almost like saying they're impersonating something that's greater than them, basically.
Emulation.
Yeah, they're the reason, you know, they just and then it's a whole chapter about it. So it's about head shaping. It's about, like right here, yeah, there it goes right there. See, tells you exactly the reason why.
The other thing is I've noticed that in the animal kingdom, we don't have any animals that have elongated heads like this, that go beyond the part of the base of the skull all the way out. So this idea of elongating the skull, and then they reserved the elongated skulls to royal families, like
right.
or
The elongated skulls are always alluded to.
Somebody up top must have it. So whoever they saw that was considered a leader, a powerful leader, had an elongated skull, and then they mimicked after that. Whatever it was, that being disappeared, they continued to practice forever and ever and ever, through one leader to the other.
So I got one last thing that I showed you, and I'm telling you that all these connections are crazier than what we could ever. And
again, this is what
traditional
archaeologists will call independent innovation, meaning they're going to suggest that the Ubayyads and the South Americans did this on their own coincidentally.
No,
which
the
sounds absurd to
me.
And
I'm going to tell you why it's not coincidentally, because I found, this is the book that I'm telling you about that I was reading. But look at this right here. What do you see? This is on their pottery. What do you see?
Well, obviously, the Nazis didn't exist 10,000 years ago. So
and that's traditionally considered a Sanskrit shape.
So that symbol is somewhat people.
Well, what does that always talk about? What does that always talk about when it comes to the language? I remember him saying something with Sanskrit.
Yeah, I mean, there's different theories on what the swastika represents.
No, what's the other sign, though? What's the other sign?
The cross?
Yep. And what else does it possibly mimic?
It does, and it also looks like multiple tridactyl hands, doesn't it?
Well, I was going to say Knights Templar, but yeah.
Oh, the Knights Templar and what they've used?
Right, and so the Knights Templar supposedly would worship a skull. What skull was it?
Some people will try to allude that to time traveling. You know that?
But the reason why I bring this up is because if we're seeing stuff like this going back possibly 10,000 years, because they have pottery with all kinds of paintings on them that goes back possibly 10,000 years. And we see that in Peru that they have, the tridactyls, the skeletons. That's the only place that we found skeletons at. The only place.
So far.
So far, right? Or at least a mass amount of them, at least, right?
I suggest that was because that was their last stop after spreading culture. Because what are the last two regions that humans actually colonized? The Caribbean and New Zealand and Easter Island and South America, supposedly, right?
Well,
I guess South America could have been earlier.
That brings me up to my point on.
Was that the goal? The goal was to seed the earth?
I think so, and spread culture. That's why I think even earlier Rebirth alluded to a singular religion. I suggest it's a singular religion, but I know we're going back to the Obaid, but my theory, of course, is that it predates even that. That's just the evidence.
There's a civilization that came before it. I'm saying that.
Right. Even
look up on here.
Some unknown. There's an unknown culture still. There's some mother culture that we're just catching the clues of. I believe the Sumerians got there from the waterways.
Yeah, it's a civilization that goes back to 6100 BC. So this is the thing this is what I've learned. Halaf, the Ubaidians, Sumerians. Okay, the Ubaidians are known for their pottery, but they talk in this book, that's all it's about is pottery. So all these cultures they can identify them because of their pottery.
Right.
That's how you could tell that they were. And also you could tell when the pottery changed and the time changed. They literally had the pottery's wheel back then.
Mm-hmm.
Because see, a lot of people believe that the wheel was invented for transportation, like moving stuff and stuff like that. No,
and sometimes I think maybe even the pottery had an inspiration for the shape.
What changed? What changed in human evolution and in our technological evolution that in the last part of the century here that we decided to start making plastics and everything like that? Did we find something that they couldn't find thousands and thousands of years ago?
It's cheaper to make plastics.
I know, but what did we find that they couldn't find back then? Like the atomic structure of stuff. What did we invent that had us realize that we could break down molecules and create things that are more smaller and then we can rebuild stuff, manipulate objects, plastics and metals, and then build anything we want with them in small
migration.
Conductors.
That's the easiest answer is migration, because not all resources is in one place. You might find all resources in Africa, possibly. I don't know.
Let's keep in mind too that the Dogu ceramics that I just showed were very similar. Could go back 8,000, 12,000 years also. So we're talking Japan, far east of Sumeria, which is why I suggest there's a central culture in the middle that's spreading out through the waterways and not necessarily by land.
I just want to know what kind of technology they had. What made them so great? Why?
Who?
How could they fly in the air and see the things that they can see on the ground?
Who?
Because that's what my question is. I'm so
Who,
interested
though?
in knowing.
The question you asking the question, but who?
Well, I mean, at
like
times,
referring to the Nazca lines.
Yeah, the Nazca lines. That's one example.
You don't need to be in the air to create.
Or not even that,
bro.
or the pyramids of Giza, the way they
I hate that example. I hate that example of the Nazca lines. You don't have to go in the air to create art and appreciate it.
Why not?
Some people do. Some people do things not for others.
I appreciate beach art when I look down at it.
I think what Rebirth is saying is that you don't need to.
If I get on the ground and look at my art, it looks like sand.
You don't need to see your work from above. You can still.
Yes, that's exactly.
All I'm doing is looking at sand. If I make a sand castle, it looks like the sand on the ground. I don't appreciate it.
You're not hearing us though. You don't, as an artist, because there's different types of art. It's like a musician. Most musicians don't listen to their own art, their own music. Most of them don't even listen to music or some sort.
A lot of actors
Listen
don't
to
watch
other
their own
people's
movies.
music.
Yeah, a lot of actors don't watch their own movies unless they have to go in there and do their thing.
Because they don't want to ridicule themselves.
No, it's because you don't. It's art. You already know what you created. You don't have
Right.
to
It's
see
done, one and done.
Yeah, it is. That's why I said like when and I say that only because of the simple fact that some people would look at that as having an ego. Oh, everybody needs to see my
yeah,
work.
that's true.
What I did. No, some people might just do things to do. Like when I hear that ancient alien theory, oh, they created the Nazca this because of that. No, they don't. The Nazca lines.
No, I think you got to
the
validate
Nazca
there.
art.
You don't have to necessarily be above to see it, but I think the intention may have been to show something above, but that could have just been based on
But then I also
myth.
think about what is another way that we could create that? Is there a way to create a hot air balloon from like some type of lambskin because they might have had some kind of petroleum products back then or something like that? I mean, is that possible? Has anybody ever tested that? You know what I mean? Right. I mean, people do all kinds of testing stuff. You know, how did the air balloon come to be? You know what I mean?
You got to know the chemical composition of.
But my point is that you don't have to wonder when you already see it.
You got to know what hydrogen is.
Like I don't have to wonder how important the cross is. I can see that it goes back thousands of years, and it's different on different things. I don't have to wonder, is there a species like Tridactyls real? I
use that cross too as it's the alpha letter. It's the primary letter in a Sanskrit script. I think it's the Brahma.
That's why I brought that up, because you said the Sanskrit language, and you can see that if somebody was to look at that from an ignorant point of view, they'll be like, "Oh, that's the Nazi swastika."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, if I'm seeing this in art that goes back thousands and thousands of years, obviously there's got to be some kind of truth between this. Like I look for understanding within these pages. So I don't think every book that I've read is facts or has the best information. I just understand it better because I'm able to go back and say, okay, this person said this. Let me go do my research from this. A lot of people today, they're podcasters and they want to get on here and do their shows, but they don't really do their research. They'll watch.
No, they just want to repeat what other people have already said.
Exactly, and there's no change in it. That's what I was going to say too. Hot topic at that time.
To piggyback on what you say, once you read the one book, the two books, the three books, then it's time to sort of just reduce that, and you have to start coming up with your own truths based on this information and putting it together yourself, because that's what I fear with the modern archaeologists. Everyone's looking at each one of these cultural complexes as separate, and no one has the nerve to combine them. But that's the beauty of the Tridactyl Nazca mummies, is that now we have something to suggest that this could have been the inspiration. In fact, let me see if I can find the fontanelle in what I call the Kappa.
See, that's why it fascinates
pneumatic region,
because you believe that they were highly intelligent individuals. Okay, and I'm looking at things that go back possibly 10,000 years. That says that there's some type of worship of some type of species like that. I mean, one of the chapters in that book was literally about snakes, bro. Like, I'm like, okay, that's reptilian. Like, how much? Like, I'm not quick.
I never believed in reptilians myself. I'm like, how is that possible, right?
But I bring that up because what I was talking about before is what the DNA says. If the DNA is saying reptilians, but how do you distinguish a reptilian? Like, was dinosaurs considered reptilians? Like, what were they really considered?
Yeah, technically, right? They're different, right? I was talking about, the AI was helping me with the ear bone and with the circular ribs, and it kept going back to marine reptiles, which, like a plesiosaur, a long neck aquatic marine, we call them dinosaurs, but technically they're not dinosaurs. They're marine reptiles. And it keeps going to archosaurs, which is the greater branch that encompasses reptiles and dinosaurs in one group.
Right now,
So,
I'm researching octopus, and there's a couple of things that people talk about with octopus, that being with the legs and everything like that in
well,
their brain.
if these creatures have and if they have hydrostatic mechanics, that is, I saw in one site they say that the necks retract, but I believe the researchers have retracted that statement, and they don't use this term that the neck retracts. They say that the neck extends. The slight difference in semantics is that the neck extends, and that could be through hydrostatic mechanics. And men experience hydrostatic mechanics anytime they get aroused. So, to give you an idea, that's like hydrostatic.
Yeah, it's just strange to me. Like we have.
So do we
Yeah,
have
well,
reptile in our DNA in any way possible?
Well,
Has
keep in
that
mind,
been?
all, in my opinion, I don't know, because you seem to have some different beliefs on humanity, but everything
Oh,
on
no, I mean,
planet
in our
Earth,
evolution, do we have it?
everything on planet Earth is related. You are related to the trees. Just like
Well,
trees, you need water. In fact, I recently saw, I forget the name of the creature, the term they used, Alumna or something. They discovered like a single cell living creature that was the ancestor to all living things. So when you say, do we have reptile in us? Well, we're related to them in
well,
some
what's
way.
that? What,
We have,
what,
we
what's
have.
that? What's that reptilian part in the brain that they always talk about?
Oh yeah, the
They say
the
we
hypothalamus. Is that the reptile part of the brain? Yeah, there you go.
we don't have the DNA, but we do share a deep ancient genetic lineage that where the tree breaks in the
Well, I
in the
wanted
evolution.
I wanted to make something very clear. Was you saying do we share DNA, or was you sharing some type of ancestry? Because
No,
if you technically want,
reptiles and humans come from the same source, is basically what they're saying, that we share the
no, but I'm asking what was the actual question?
oh, I was asking if we have any in our DNA sequences, do we have any
So
reptile
to answer your
sequences?
question, we share DNA with everything on this planet. It just doesn't make us that. We
Yeah, the
share
only
DNA
thing,
with
Yeah.
the only
we share
exception
DNA.
would be
I was just trying to look for
viruses.
more details.
No, we share DNA with bananas. Believe it or not, we share DNA with pigs. We share DNA with plants. We have a certain because we come from one source. They say, like you said, but as far as
I was trying to find the. I may have to pull up Louisa. I was trying to find a cross-like, star-like pattern in her fontanelle, her kappa, that pneumatic region at the front of the head. So maybe I should pull her up just to see.
I was just going to say, just to keep it simple, stupid, as humans do share DNA with, or even ancestry with reptilians
Yes.
or reptiles, but
Yes, we share.
humans are not.
We share
Yeah.
common ancestry. Absolutely. And that's the other strange thing about the tridactyls. Everything keeps coming up that these things
But
have
that's,
a mosaic suite of morphology that predates, all these things. It resembles reptiles. It resembles amphibians.
but we will never know what the DNA is until they have a way to compare it to something. So even if you test for it, being it unknown, you won't know until you be able to find something to match it to.
So they're saying that the that what they say is not an assumption. It's not a physical assumption, but it's also chemically, and they did a lot of tests on that. So it is through the DNA that they found out that we are a direct link to it. Just for the audience to know that it's just not something that the scientists say, oh, because we have 2 arms and 2 legs, we share a common ancestry. No, they actually did a lot of footwork and hands-on,
No pun intended.
with equipment, and through analysis through DNA, and they found a common ancestry through that as well. So I just want everybody to know. We're dotting our I's, crossing our T's here.
Frequently, the AI is calling these basal tetrapods, so meaning an early ancestor to 4-limbed beings.
I'm just wondering if were they all tridactyls, or were they did they have 4 fingers, like one with a thumb? Like after a while,
I would imagine they eventually got 5.
Yeah. Like did they work? Like did it start off as 3 and then eventually went up to 5? Yeah.
Of course, if you look back in time, oddly enough, the evidence for early
nice
creatures
thought.
actually have,
That's
I
something
think,
to
6
study.
fingers. They get
I just want, how long are how old is the oldest mummy?
I want to say 6,000 years old.
6,000.
That's, I think
that doesn't account for the ones that have degraded and they're gone. So
that's the big hands. The big hands, I think, are coming back 6,000. And the big hands have iron implants, which is not typical of South America to use iron. That's a European metallurgy.
The Ubadians had bronze going back some years. I mean, look, when I say Ubadians, it's so hard to even say what time frame, because all I can say is they came before the Sumerians. So obviously we've had bronze going back that far, possibly.
Yeah, y'all just digging into my D&D idea. I mean, bronze, that's like Elven. Right. We're almost in the fantasy realm in my head.
Well, you
telling me they had the technology of bronze?
Yeah, bro. I'm telling you, I'm reading that book. Look, I always talk about this all the time. I always say this. I always talk about the Sumerians only because of the academia. But then that's why I always say that I always even counter myself, because the Ubadians, everything you find in the Sumerians, you find in the Ubadians. And I talk about that, but most people don't even accept that.
Is that why the British were gatekeeping the information?
No, I don't know. They weren't gatekeeping. They didn't. The time they did archaeological digs were already after most of the Sumerian digs. So when they found the first Gilgamesh tablet, that was like, I can't even.
Gilgamesh tablet, that was like a recent find. I mean,
no, that was I want
within like 200 years.
What I mean about gatekeeping is that the British are claiming that they're the ones who came up with the technology for, like their culture is the one that are the advanced culture that came up with metallurgy, or the Bronze Age was their age, and anything before them didn't have that technology. That's their claiming. That's what I'm bringing up about gatekeeping.
So Austin Henry Laylard and Hormazd Razum, they excavated thousands of cuneiform tablets in Nineveh. And one of them was the Gilgamesh, and this was around 1849 and 1850. Okay, so they thought that was Sumerian. Okay, that's what they consider Sumerian. Now this is 1849 and 1850. Some of the places that they did archaeological digs in here was just as recent as maybe just 2000, like right before the war. Okay. And the first one in some of the major cases was in 1920s, when I just showed you guys. Remember with the lizard one? Remember I just showed you guys the 1920s ones? That was 1920. So that's almost 100 years after they found what they consider Sumerians. So that's why I say people need to stop saying it was the Sumerians.
I think people use that as like a generic term.
But that's the problem.
You could just say Mesopotamians, right?
By the time the Sumerians came here, I think that was the end of that culture, because of that type of culture, because then you have the Akkadians, and that's when things started ramping up more. Like the Akkadians are actually the people who actually talk about the gods in the sense of being not extraterrestrial, but alien, like, how I already separate alien and extraterrestrial, anything outside of Earth. Aliens is because they say that they come from the depths of the sea, so they're more than likely some type of USO, if you want to go with that route. But in reality, everybody that says it's Sumerians, that's a whole different time frame, because the Ubadians, when they had religion, because it says in this book their religion, and like I said, we're going to go over it in the future, Fat Jesus, like in the next week or two. They talk about how everything had life. It's like everything had life. Thunder had life. Wind had life. The sun had life. Humans had life. Dogs had life. Plants had life. Everything had life. Everything had some type of life.
I thought this
tree huggers, baby, tree huggers for life
of the pneumatic region here. I thought it was very interesting, almost cross-like or star-like.
But if you look, from here and you go all the way down to here. It's like a slingshot. It's not hard to get from one of these places to here.
I beg to differ. The winds are
Again, though,
hellaciously rough. The winds and the crosswinds, they go around.
That's
in
how
those
they
areas.
traveled back then. They
Yeah,
didn't.
I mean, whatever. If you travel off of the coast of Africa, the winds will shoot you up to the north and then take
there's
you straight
multiple
down
ways
the
to get
middle,
there.
No, it's multiple
down
ways,
the
bro.
middle
It
to the
depends.
Caribbeans.
No,
And then
depends.
then if you try to travel out from South America, it will shoot you south into Antarctica
Look,
then pick you up all the way up to the top. Now we have airplanes, so
most
that
people
costs a lot of jet fuel. Just
no,
to get
most
through all
people
those.
who boated from Spain or something like that, they went to the Canary Islands. Christopher Columbus even talks about it. That's where they went to do all their stuff before they went across the seas. So and now that was
Well, you have to turn your I sail, so you have to turn your sails in a certain direction so you could catch the crosswinds. That way you could sail downwards against the current.
yeah, those,
Yeah, the
yeah, they
slave
call them,
trade
Then
winds
there's
were
times
used for a
when
long
you don't
time.
get any wind at all. You're just dead in the water.
yeah, the trade winds. Yeah, I know a lot about it. I wrote about it because of the transatlantic slave trade. I wanted to see how they did it. But for the main part, but just
Oh,
to
baby.
be honest, but just to be honest, you see these tridactyls all over the world.
We see cultural
Now-
evidence of them all over the world. That is
Now
a fact.
What we need now, and this is probably something you could push for, Ed, is we need to see the artifacts that came with those tridactyls in that area and see how we can compare it to the artifacts that we see on the other side of the world. And then if you say these goes back 6,000 years, they might find pottery that goes back 10, 15,000 years, right? And have these tridactyls on there. So now that just gives you more of an indicator where to look at for these tridactyls.
Well, that's what I'm saying about the Dogu. The Dogu tridactyls could be as old as 12,000 years.
Yeah, but we need to see those artifacts. We need to see those artifacts.
It's gonna be a little bit
We saw
difficult.
one earlier.
It's gonna be a little bit difficult.
No, like
because,
then somebody
not-
needs to
arti-
put
some
somebody,
artifact. The farther back you go, the harder it is to find more of these artifacts.
Actually,
Due to
that's
the
actually reversed. They say.
disintegration.
No, they say actually that's reversed. If they said if it was buried at a certain time, then there's probably the only thing that's probably going to be hard to find is probably wood. But like pottery, the
Petrified wood.
artifacts that they use, they say that will be found easily. Most of the time, the reason why their pottery is all broken up is not because it was broken when they buried it. It's because some dumbass was digging too hard and broke it. They didn't know what they was looking
Which
for.
is funny. Where's my? I don't have my trowel.
Well,
you see a
I
lot of
mean,
archaeologists using these
The
pointy
people that are
trowels.
focused on digging, they're digging to survive. They just want to build that house and
No,
make
I'm
their
talking about
land,
the
and they
archaeologists.
want to do
my,
their farming.
my mentor archaeologist just gave me what's called a Marshallton is the brand, and it's a squared off end, not with a point that you typically see like a cartoon archaeologist has, specifically because what does that point do? It could ruin your pottery.
Imagine yourself having 23 acres and then you started digging. So I mean, you're starting to build your little house and everything like that out of the rocks and stuff like that. You don't have all these bricks and cinder blocks. You don't have Home Depot, and you're building your land and everything. You got to dig into the ground and clear out all the rocks and all that stuff so you could build your farm. And all of a sudden you find pottery. What's going through your head? Because you're not connected to any universities or nothing like that. So you have to put yourself in the mindset of, I mean, you're not making millions of dollars or thousands of dollars per month or anything like that. You don't have the internet on you. You know, you have a cell phone maybe, but you know, you're not really thinking about how you're going to make money. That's another thing. You don't know where to start because you don't have the education to connect people. You don't have the connections to connect people with the artifacts that you have in your hands.
I don't care.
So-
If I found pottery, I wouldn't be selling it anyway. They can keep that.
No, you grab it in your hand and you go, "This is junk." And
No,
throw
I
it back
wouldn't.
on the
If
ground.
I dug in my backyard right now and found some pottery, I would definitely believe it was native.
If I was a
American stuff.
farmer and I put myself in their shoes, I just throw it on the ground again. Because to me, it's
But I think a lot of farmers know that there's sacred land around, and that's why I think they don't do that. That's why they always go find people who do know that. Like farmers, Like I really do believe that because they
If
know
they were
their land.
educated on the matter, yeah, I would
I'm just
agree
saying
with you.
farmers in general, like I think if they've been there long enough.
Uneducated people? No.
No, I don't even think it has to do anything with education. I just think it has to do with their, just like how Ed was talking about the bloodline and following, you know, the DNA and stuff. Some people believe, oh, that might be my ancestors. And like I'm telling you, I live around a lot of farmers, and I can tell you these farmers know their land. Like they legit know their land. Like they know, you know, the almost like the best way to, you know, farm everything. Like that. I mean, not even just farming, but like, you know, the history.
I don't know what the
that,
rules and regulations are. If you find an artifact on your land, they may even stop you from even digging or creating your farm.
Well, that's what I would do as an archaeologist. I would monitor construction sites, because if any bones or cultural evidence came
now
up,
you can't even build your farm, feed your family.
Well,
yeah, so
technically,
people will hide that.
Technically, I think it's different for every state. But technically, like if it's generally, you know, like if you're building something like commercially, they definitely have to let people know. Private land, nobody's going to know.
A body, they have to.
I mean, like how would somebody, like how many?
Well, looters aren't supposed to loot either, and it happens anyways as well. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that I don't think when it comes to private land, I don't think most people who have private land that lives out in you know, the boonies themselves, they don't like the government in the first place. So they damn sure ain't gonna call them when they tell them they found.
Now you're getting somewhere. Now you're thinking like a Wakero.
I'm just being honest. Like I know a lot of these people don't like the government and their business. I mean,
yeah, and they form factions against the government. That's what they do.
So, you know, my theory is that the mother culture is coming from the Himalayan plateau, Central Eurasia. And this is based on the Denisovans coming from that direction, the Neanderthals coming from that direction.
Doing such a great job with this.
Oceanic culture coming from Asia, the Native Americans coming from Asia. And so
this is what Stig should be doing, by the way, Rebirth.
I was just talking.
I love the detail and organization that Ed has here with Google Maps.
And something like Sri Lanka also could have been some redoubt, some location to spread culture.
But that just makes me think more, Ed, is what you said, is because where you said they are, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Turkey is close by. So that just makes you think, this is what I've always said. I believe Mesopotamia, Egypt, those two places. And the only reason why I say those two places is because I believe they're the same, but just two different major cultures, I guess you can say. When I say major cultures, is you can definitely tell the difference between them. You can't tell the difference too much between an Akkadian and a Sumerian unless you dig really deep in it, right? But Egyptian and Mesopotamian lifestyle, two different cultures. But what I say is I think that those places were some type of language recorder, something that recorded almost everything that everybody from around the world did. So people from Mesoamerica came to on this side of the world, and they traveled back and forth and made sure that they had these messages. Because when you're in Mesoamerica, you don't get too much written language on there.
Maybe do you need that interaction going back and forth, or do you just need a mother culture?
It's
spreading out.
It's to preserve history. That's what it's for.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you said that the Mesoamericans may have come this
way.
I don't know if they had to.
They went back and forth. It wasn't just one way. It wasn't just one way. Think about it. If you seen somebody coming from far above the seas and interest you enough to think that there was land on the other side of the world, if you're interested in enough, you're going to go follow that person.
Well, obviously, it pissed off enough people to destroy a whole Hindu society in the Indonesian area. If you turn that map over towards where Thailand is, in the Hindu societies over there, their whole society was decimated after whatever leaders they had disappeared, you know. And they had such an incredible empire. It It was a massive empire, and they had so many temples, and they looked reptilian. You know, these gods that they had. So I mean, I don't know what happened, but humans were pissed, and they destroyed whatever temples they could destroy and change it over to Buddhism. Or they came in afterwards. Maybe they didn't destroy in the name of Buddhism. Maybe they just came into something that was emptied and they just replaced it with Buddhism. They just occupied it.
But and even Buddhism though was not a wholly original, right? It still was based on Hinduism that came before it.
I don't know. I've been reading up on it. There's this thing that where Hinduism is making a comeback. You know, people are starting to read more and more in the Hindu texts, and they're trying to grasp their roots, their history again in Hinduism. And that's such a really large society out there. I mean, we're talking about billions of people living in India now. There's the largest amount of that culture is the largest population on earth right now.
Yep. So, what have we concluded today?
The Ubadians, I think the Ubadians were located in multiple regions on earth for sure. After this discussion, I think they've been all over the place.
I'm gonna say at least bare minimum, and on that side of the world. But there's another thing that I'm gonna get into.
Well, I mean, language, technology, everything that it comes down to metallurgy and all that stuff. I think it just all came from them. And
but I think that's just the evidence of what the recent find was. I'm still suggesting there is a mother culture that predates them, if in fact we have similar artifacts as far as Japan for the Ainu.
Wow. Yeah, we haven't even really talked about much about
I think we always talk about the Mesopotamians as being, you know, one of the oldest cultures. I think it's like one of the oldest cultures that we know of so far. I still suspect that there has to be a culture predating that.
No, there is. Like I said, you got the Sumerians that people consider the first, and you got the Ubadians that go back a certain amount of time. I seen something that said almost up to 10,000 years, and you got the Halaf, Halaf. Type that in. Type in Halaf. Halaf culture. Yeah, that's the one that came before the Sumerians or before the Ubadians.
Right.
So, and they have pottery. So, and there's a group of people before that.
Oh, look at that! Not too far off from my Luisa's. Not too far off from Luisa's Fontanelle there.
That's the Knights Templar that you could kind of look at if you look at it a certain way.
And this is very reminiscent of the skin.
I'm telling you, man. Look. I only speak of
what I'm saying is just real quick. What I'm saying is, there's even another culture that predates the Halafa culture.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily from this region. What I've realized, we talk about societies being born next to water, but what my research seems to suggest is that that's where they're deposited. That's why I suggest this bay here is them coming to this region via water, much like the Olmecs. When you notice that the Olmecs spread from this point, from this bay, and then spread out quite obviously outwards. If it was a culture that just, I mean, I guess it's possible the culture could have just picked up and moved there, but that's what it's looking like to me. Cultures are spreading from the water. Even the Ice Age paintings. The Ice Age paintings appear to be spreading from the Bay of Biscay in the Basque region. And then they spread into and fan outwards into Europe.
So you talked about how you're talking about Asia and stuff like that, right? Well, one of the first civilizations in China. Do you know what the first civilization in China was?
I can't come up with a name off the top of my head, but I'm thinking, Oracle script. Whoever was doing the Oracle script.
No, so I learned this having some conversations with a couple of people from China. One of the first civilizations in China is the Shang Dynasty. Right?
Yeah.
So
Shang script.
So I have right here. I just did a screen share with you.
Predates the Shang script. Though.
Yeah, I just did a screen share with you.
Okay.
And this is a book that I have in my collection. It's actually a free book you can get, but I bought it. It's Chinese and Sumerian.
Yeah.
So it shows similarities between Chinese and Sumerian. This book also has some stuff about what would appear tridactyls. I would have to show you in the future. I just thought about this just a few minutes ago because I just posted this the other day. And so you got the Chinese and the Sumerians as, the first civilizations respectively. But like I told you before, by the time this information was probably given, they didn't know about the Ubadians. So all the stuff traces. So now we got to trace where actually these Ubadians came from, right? Like, where's this information coming from? How did it transfer? That's why I say personally, and you know what? Maybe I need to look up on that side of the world where you think they water that they came out of. Maybe I need to look into the mythology surrounding that area because I know China has a lot of mythologies about water. I mean, one of my favorite stories is because it's so easy to remember. Is that there's a king who's a king of China, one of the dynasties. I can't remember which one. And his daughter couldn't hold her pee, and it caused the worldwide flood. Yeah. So you heard about that one?
No, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with Gun and his son Yu, and Gun stole the secrets of expandable soil to stop the floods, but he ended up just flooding different regions with the expandable soil. And so it was eventually his son Yu that created irrigation to allow, instead of stopping the water, to allow the water to flow.
Yeah, so that's why I say that there's a lot of similarities, and I think the artifacts in Peru would help out a lot, because how did they get to Peru? If it started on one side of the world, how did they manage to get on the other side of the world? And if they was as reptilian or amphibian type species, did they really need a boat to travel the world, or did they just hop in the water and just
Well,
travel?
it's interesting because there's high percentages of Neanderthal on this eastern peninsula in South America, but then the Denisovan concentration is on the west coast. So to me, that implies Neanderthals coming from Africa and Europe to this region, and Denisovans coming through Oceania and in that region.
Yeah, because that could be considered the depths of the sea.
Also note too, because the mummies are actually not coming from Nazca, they're coming from Palpa. But look at this big bay here, and these islands lead right into some of these fertile regions here. Let's see. Where's the island chain? Yeah, right here and here. That lake is right there too. I'm just saying that there's plenty of spots for a great. To me, it seems like these cultures try to go in as deep as they can into the land via water. So they're going to go into these great bays, and they're going to go into the river systems where they can use the river systems to also travel upwards.
I'm about to test something, see something, because I just came up with a question. I was wondering how far is Lake Titicaca from the area of the Tridactyls. So I want to see how far that is. Because
Still pretty far.
isn't Lake Titicaca?
Here's Lake Titicaca.
Wait, let's see.
So I mean, I can probably do a.
Yeah, do that real quick.
Let me
Because
see if
isn't
I-
that like the lowest part of the deepest part of the what is it?
So Titicaca to Palpa is still pretty far. Where is it? Oh, I lost my lake. Yeah, it's still very far, but that's okay because
How far? I can't see. Oh, there we go. Yeah,
let's do miles.
I don't know that other shit. Oh, that ain't
know,
bad.
500 miles. But again, if you're
Yeah.
talking about an
4
aquatic
hours,
culture,
4 hours.
they're gonna come in all different places, aren't they?
It's like one of the highest, largest lakes in the world.
I've been in
Yeah.
battle with AI just recently talking about the
and
Ubadians.
that's what I was wanting
Crazy.
to look up. It's known for its floating islands.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which would be great to keep yourselves isolated from non-swimming primates, because remember, apes don't swim.
They have caverns underneath, guys.
Yeah, the island of the sun. That's what it's called. Yeah,
You know that, right?
Huh?
They have caverns. There's caves and caverns underneath all of that. There are dolphins in the Amazon rainforest.
What?
And these dolphins, they say they have come from the ocean. So they have traveled somehow, some way into the Amazon River.
There we go.
But they're saying also they have found underground cave systems that are like from the Amazon rivers that go into the mountains and everything like that. And sometimes these dolphins, they just disappear and they don't know where they go.
They're freshwater dolphins. That's why.
Yeah, they're freshwater dolphins. They look exactly the same. I've swam with dolphins. I've been friends with like dolphins in Key West and everything like that. And I've been in the Amazon rainforest, and I've gone down the river. I've seen they are like albino white, like it's like a light gray. And they're
Pinkish
just
color is what
amazing.
it's
They have
called.
like a red eye too. So
They
it's
say
like
they're known for their pinkish color and long snout.
they're just amazing. And
Yeah, they're either called the Amazon River dolphin, the Boto, or the Pink River dolphin.
they act the same. They sound even the same in like dolphins in the sea. They don't sound any different. So it's just crazy that and that's like the only place in the world. But there are underground river tunnels that connect.
You said they look the same. They don't look the same, man. It just look weird as fuck.
They have the
skin
same
color almost,
genealogy.
huh?
Yeah.
No, not even just the skin color. That snout looks so crazy.
Yeah, I mean they're the same as when they did the DNA test. They're dolphins.
Yeah, orcas are dolphins, believe it or not.
But it's just amazing that they
They come
exist
from the same
all
species.
together. But the point is that there are underground rivers, and they span for miles and miles and miles. So there's a good chance that that's how they ended up from the sea to inland.
Earlier, we were looking at Alberto. And we were noting how his ear bone seemed to be missing from the inside, and his
They got them in different places. Oh, I'm
his
sorry.
left ear bone was on the exterior. But here with Luisa, we can see a healthy specimen.
It's like towards the cheekbone area.
Yeah, I could say that.
But it's right here, of course, just like us. But they have such a elongated skull. But the elongated skull isn't like us, where it's up top. It's actually towards the back of the brain.
Yeah.
It's back here.
And it looks dual lobed as well.
You can pick
Damn,
that
bro,
up.
they got dolphins everywhere. Those dolphins are in Asia.
I want to make a point too. We talked about, we showed the Ubaid reptilians. We looked at the Dogu statue, and just to reacquaint ourselves, look at the shoulders on these things. It's just like those two statues. That trapezoidal kind of structure.
But that's
Yeah,
why I was,
they have one in Asia.
but that's why I was saying that for me, because you said that you believe they came from the other side of the world, right? That's what you said. When you said that, I started looking for more tridactyls. Like when you see, this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand. Research is not just done by one person. Research is done by a community of people. So when I started talking to you guys about these tridactyls, I was like, I'm going to see how much of these three-finger species I can find in these myths around the world. And I've literally found them. Ever since we've talked, I've found them. When it comes to Dolores Cannon, she describes them in her books. I showed you guys that. I'm reading this Ubaidian book right now that literally has artifacts that show three-finger species, elongated
They live
long
in
fingers, long hands.
Pakistan.
So I don't have to wonder if this is real. It's real enough for people to have been recording it for almost 10,000 years plus. And I really believe that these are the same group of individuals who built Göbekli Tepe. I'm saying that now because I know a lot about Göbekli Tepe, but I don't usually say anything because a lot of people will jump on bandwagons when things come out. When I first had read about the Ubaidians and got in deep into that research, I was like, yo, I need to write a book about them because most of my research is all about the Sumerians, and that's only because of academia. I admit that all the time because there's not enough research behind the Ubaidians.
Also, really, when you look at the Turkish, those the Anatolian pillars,
the T-pillars. They talk about the T-pillars in here all the time. That's why I'm saying
the pillars are therianthropic, meaning that they're beast-like beings. They're animal-like beings that you can see that the pillars seem to be emulating. Do you know what I'm talking about?
So this river dolphin that he's talking about in Asia is in the Indus River in Pakistan, by the way. And they're saying that like 25 million years ago, that's how they ended up in there because the ocean waters were so high up, or when the land continents were coming together, they got trapped within the river system.
That's funny you bring that up because in this book, it also talks about the rise of water, about around the Ubaidian time frame. That's another clue that I'm saying that I believe is Göbekli Tepe. So whatever these species are, they're known from all these mythologies, from all these cultures and civilizations. I'm telling you, it's scary when we look at the history of things and people don't really understand that. Hey, look,
so it's then they're older than a couple thousand years, 10,000 years. It's more like millions of years.
Well, I'm not going to say
we're talking about
so
a
even
flood.
Something like this. Just if you're familiar also with the stargazer statues, it appears to show little beings with elongated heads looking upwards. So even this, while it may look blocky, I suggest is therianthropic in itself.
You know why a lot of people say those T-pillars were like a way to hold up walls and stuff like that, or hold a roof, is because in this book specifically that I'm reading about, that they have layouts of houses with T-pillars like that is literally made for building, for holding on. So that's why I'm saying
this piece here, look at this one real quick, because this is pretty damning, I think. I mean, we could say it's coincidence or pareidolia, but this seems to say to me, this looks like Josephina's head. Maybe we can do Josephina's head side by side. Wouldn't that be nice?
No, I think that's more like a tiger or animal type thing.
Right, what they're saying, exactly. They're saying the beings with the cat-like head. Let me see.
Yeah, I think those two are way too different.
Maybe. But let's see. Be nice if we could have them side by side. Okay.
Oh, you're talking because of the shape of the head?
Try to get back to it.
I don't know if they'll look like a cat. I mean, cats look like cats. I mean, you could easily look at a panther and say, okay, I make a panther out of a drawing.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
I wouldn't assume that a panther would look like a tridactyl.
Yeah, I definitely think those are two different things.
Well, I disagree because it even appears to have the kappa. It has the elongated head. and
Well,
the
a lot of
flat
animals have
face.
a lot of animals have elongated heads.
I mean, extreme elongated head is a giraffe.
You don't think these two shapes look similar?
Elongated neck. I meant.
You don't think these two shapes look familiar? Look similar?
I think they're two different. I think they're definitely two different different types.
Okay.
What is
well,
that
I did.
ball? What is that on the bottom of the head and the neck?
And my research has led me to believe that it has nothing to do with the animals.
Professor,
That
how about
that
underneath
the animals,
the neck?
the reason animals are considered of any mythological or religious purpose is their resemblance to the tridactyl ancestors. So to me, this says the being with the cat-like head. What are you asking?
In 3D slicer there, on the bottom of the head, underneath the head right there, there's a bone structure. Is that, what are those?
Yeah, I can't recall what they're.
Can you zoom in on that, or?
Yeah, this one maybe could be broken, possibly, but
No, that just looks normal.
it's very. Yeah, I can't recall the names. We have them too. It's where the muscles attach for the neck.
Is that a bone? Can you switch out from scan to scan to see if they appear? And turn it. There it is again. That's a bone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're bones that
I
are
know what
used
that
to
is.
It's a bone that attaches the neck muscles. What it indicates is a strong skull to neck connection. I wish I could remember the names off the top of my head. Let's see if I can
That is wild.
find something.
I've never seen that before. Do we have that?
I also wanted to see there's still another there's other pillars that I feel are of importance as well. Yeah, well, I think we have a less defined version.
Yeah, the pillars. I can tell you, they talk about the pillars a lot in that book, and it was built for some type of housing and stuff like that. And their houses, inside their houses, were artistically depicting of different things.
And don't forget the eye idols that come from the region as well, right?
Can you turn the head slightly over to the right a little bit, to the left a little bit? See, we have something called our jawbone. Is that even attached to their jaw?
No, don't ask me. I'm not an expert on none of looking at scans. I know.
Oh no, I do see it. Yeah, it's inside our skull though. Those bones are smaller, less defined than that, and it's connected into the base of our skull, but inside our skull. Yeah, I see it now. We have a stronger neck than these beings here. Yeah, I was just looking at it, comparing it to humans in some form or fashion. What the heck, those bones? Those were pretty thick.
Yeah, that's probably what you should do, Ed, for the next one, is get some photos of a human CT scan and do your comparisons side by side with them. That would probably open up more people's eyes.
Oh, maybe.
No, I think it would. Get it from different angles and see how this is.
Are you familiar with the eye idols, Rebirth?
I am a little bit. Yeah. Why? What's up?
Well, it's the same region of the world you're speaking of that are very particular beings looking. Let's see if we can pull those.
No, straight up, bro. I think you should do that, bro. Take like you know how everybody always talks about how the fingers and hands.
Yeah, I mean that's what Proctor did, right?
Yeah, it could have been manipulated, and you can see like how you could talk from your point of view of how you don't think it was manipulated and all that.
Let's look at the eye idols of Tel Brak, Syria.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that this culture goes back to the Syria land also. They're all over there. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is basically they're all over there.
And all big heads, big
Everybody
eyes.
that thinks, everybody that
Like a
thinks,
whole family right there. That's a family.
That's on, by the way.
not just I'm not even just talking about, you know, one location. I'm talking about many locations. They were in Nippur, they were in Eridu. Matter of fact, I read something where Marduk, most people who know Marduk know him from the Babylonian time frame. They said the first depiction of Marduk is in this book with the Ubadians. They found a similarity. Now that's
I
strange.
believe that one's Anu
That's
or
strange.
Antum right there.
That's strange because guess what? Marduk and the Archangel Michael are one and the same, according to some Freemasonry texts.
Historical. Yeah.
So I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of similarities. And stuff.
Yeah, because Marduk slays. Yeah, in many of the stories, Marduk is depicted slaying a dragon with a sword.
Yeah.
It's an epic,
or a serpent
epic
of some
battle.
type.
Yeah, a serpent. And then here we have is Angel Michael with a serpent on the ground with his foot on top of the serpent's
standing
head.
on top of it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is that you
Like
see
similarity.
you see these similarities. Exactly. So in reality, these reptilians that everybody talks about, you know, they could be the Tridactyls. Could very well be the Tridactyls. The reason why the Anuna / the Anunnaki, let's just say that it's said that they created humans to toil the earth. That's in the actual academic text. Okay. How could they toil the earth? Why would they need humans or create humans to toil the earth? Well, because they had 3 fingers. They couldn't hold the plow and the hoe to toil the earth. So they had to work harder to do that.
They weren't as big as strong either.
So now they created a species that could do that. See,
Or can handle the Earth's environment.
No, not the Earth's environment, because they could handle the Earth's environment. They just had trouble with toiling. It was extensive work. But my thing is that if everybody believes in the reptilian theories, if we look at these reptilian theories and see that why was humans created, why would you look at a human and say, hey, let's use them, let's create something that looks like that, but not like that? You know what I mean?
I have a hypothesis that if they looked more deeply into the lungs and the body of the Tridactyls, they might find that they had a harder time breathing on planet Earth than they did as human beings.
I don't think so, bro, because they're adapted to Earth. They couldn't have problems. And how would you be able to look at the lungs? Because the lung capacity wouldn't tell you if they had trouble or not. Because why would they live so long then? You see what I'm saying? So
that's why it's a hypothesis. I mean, I would like more studies done on it. The people that are into that field.
Yes. What would be the question for why you believe that they had trouble breathing on Earth? What would lead you to that question?
Right.
Well, their size. One is that their ability, how they walk is another thing, and the ability that they needed to use human beings to do what they had to do, or them leading human beings. That's another thing too. It just didn't seem like they were part of the region.
Okay, so do you think a dog or a cat or a mouse has a hard time breathing on Earth?
Well, they're part of the region, so they
are too.
They are naturally born on Earth, like
but the Tridactyls were too.
So I'm assuming, like some people think, that they're aliens from another planet, and they came to Earth.
What brought you to that question then? Why?
The way they look, people have brought that up. It's like the way they look. They don't look human, even though they're bipedal. I mean, they're not going to look like an octopus.
What about an Australopithecus afarensis?
What did you say? Speak
The
English to me.
The Australopithecus. Aren't you?
You have to speak English to me.
What are you? Aren't you an
I-
archaeologist?
no, I'm just this is the
anthropologist.
fifth time I told you, anthropology. There's social sciences.
So
Speak
He's a
English.
xenoanthropology tech.
So you should know what the Australopithecus afarensis is, or the Rhamidus.
Yeah,
those are the two species that.
I have to
those
look
are
it
the,
up.
Those are the two
Just
species.
like everybody else here that's watching, they need to know. They need to know the definition.
If you're in anthropology, bro, that's like the basic of humanity, where they started from. That's where you get.
I think what Rebirth's saying is that the problem is we could speculate on negatives all day, like what they couldn't do, or perhaps, but that's not going to lead us anywhere. We have to work with what we have.
Yeah, that's
and what we have is that we have living things. We have them that looks like they lived here on Earth with, they have parts that are like other animal parts.
My job is to figure out what their job was, what was their culture, how they were thinking, why they needed human beings to do their jobs.
Well, I gave you one of the reasons
the social
already.
Sciences of their existence, not their body parts.
Let's
and
keep
things
in
like
mind
that.
too, like it's still a
I'm
myth.
looking for their tools.
While there's truth
their
in
job
it,
types.
While there's truth in myth, I like to think still that people are still trying to. They're doing what we're doing now, thousands of years ago, and they're guessing also. Well, maybe they made us to do work,
Well, like I said, that's just a theory. Is that because you guys talk about the three fingers, and you have to remember in the Bible it says God created humans to toil the earth. We have old mythology that says that these species created humans for toiling the earth. Right. You can't toil the earth. If anybody who has ever worked in the yard knows you can't garden or toil the earth with three fingers. That's really hard to do. I mean, you can grip it for a little bit, but it's not
a person with 5 fingers reducing themselves to 3. This is like a 3-fingered frog or a 3-fingered bird or 3-fingered theropod raptor type creature. So I'm sure it was, I'm sure they could use them fine on their own.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is that I was going to say is that it could have been so many different reasons why for that. Going down that rabbit hole would just lead you to being crazy, you know what I mean? But we do know, like what I like when Fadzizzi says, well, some people say they came from out of space because the way they look. Well, I can look on planet Earth and see all kinds of different types of species. It was one time, many different species with the Homo sapiens at one time. Right, I've been on places in this world where I could have sworn that I was looking at a Neanderthal, like straight up, like And I know that about the Australopithecus and Rhamidus and afarensis, so I know the different types of species of human types or humanoid types of species on planet Earth. Do I think they came from outer space? No. And do I think they had a hard time breathing? Nothing to me indicates that, because one, I don't know how they walked. Everybody has a hypothesis of how they walked, but we don't know because we never actually get to see one in its live state. I know that people can say they can look at the bone structure, the hips, the way the bones and the feet and all this other stuff will be able to present you in a way that you can walk and be bipedalism and stuff like that. But was it temporary or was it permanent? We don't know. Was it a hybrid of both? We don't know. As far as breathing, the size of them, I don't see how they would have trouble breathing, because of the simple fact that I know there are plenty of species on this planet that are small enough to breathe. Do they look like humans? Of course not. Absolutely not. But I wouldn't see why they would have trouble breathing, because if that's the case, there wouldn't be that many alive. That means they would have had so many would have had to come from space, came to planet Earth, didn't do their research, and died because they failed to understand how they lived on Earth. We won't go to the moon without a spacesuit. So I'm pretty sure if they came to Earth and they had the technology that they had, they would have been at least intelligent enough to know that, hey, our bodies can't sustain this climate, so we have to be in something of protective order. Right. So obviously they didn't have trouble with something, because we don't find none of that astronaut type of gear. Right. We don't see a spaceship still here. We don't have any type of spaceship material, because if they had a hard time, they wouldn't bring here. Now, of course, another species could have came here and fucking, what they could repo the spacecraft, because they knew they had a low jack in that spacecraft, and they said, hey, there's one on, these people try to escape with it and did what they did with it. But the point is that we have is hypothesis. So what I like to stick to is what we know for a fact. That's why I say I think what you should do next, or what should be done next on the live, is taking a skull of a human, CT scan, and a skull of one of these, and comparing it how it's not manipulated, showing how you can see the different types of bones so people can see it, because that would probably help me out more too. I might just do that myself, honestly.
Right.
Go on there and just compare skulls and stuff like that and see what I can do, because I know a lot of people say there's no such thing as a stupid question.
So those are styloid processes, by the way, or processes.
No, I'm talking about an actual CT scan.
No,
to compare side by side.
I'm going back to what he was asking about. Those hanging bones are styloid processes.
But
are they more defined on the tridactyl than they are in humans?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. The humans are very subtle and small.
What I was going to say.
What are they used for mostly?
Does
it say?
Crucial anchor points for muscles. So it indicates robust neck muscles. Assisting in chewing, swallowing, and speaking.
So that could be the beginning of language. Go back up. You see where it says go down? So not the beginning of language, because these tridactyls only go by 6,000 years. But it says right here, chewing, swallowing, and speaking. So they may have had speech.
Oh, I'm sure they made some sound. That was probably proto-speech.
Speaking is different than sound. Speaking is specific, like what we're doing. That word is specific. Let me pull out the etymology for that word, speaking. But yeah, like I said, man, I think we, and I was telling Fat Jesus this before, Ed, I think we can go through a rabbit hole. We can dig rabbit holes with all kinds of what ifs.
That's my job, buddy. I go for the what ifs. I'm here for all humanity, for every person that watches this show. They have a lot of what ifs, and that's my job, is to look for those what ifs and dig those rabbit holes. I speak for the people.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying that you like that you ask a lot of what ifs, but I think what you should start doing is also answering those questions in the same breath.
How am I supposed to answer the questions?
Easy.
Look like a time traveler to you, buddy?
Look at it.
I look like a time traveler to you.
If you say,
do I have my time travel machine back
I'm going to tell you. Listen,
I'm going to jump in and I'm going to go back then, and then I'm just going to go check it out.
One of your questions. Okay, so
let me get my cell phone, and I'm going to go backwards in time, and I'm going to videotape it, and then I'll come back and I'll tell you guys what happened.
I'm glad you said that, because for the simple fact that you say that you want the what is, so why ask the question if you can't ever get the answer?
That's what the people are asking for.
No,
what are the people? Well, the
no.
people are everybody on this show that's asking.
Okay,
man.
what
people are asking the question, so we're studying the fact that we're looking at every.
So that's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying that
tridactyls. We're in the beginning stages of looking at tridactyls.
So when they ask you these questions, like specifically for my show, when somebody asks me a question, I don't let that question linger in the air. I definitely look for that answer. That question, that how you just answered, saying, "Let me go back to the past and take my phone." To me, I find that disrespectful for the simple fact that.
What do you mean disrespectful? You're asking a question that I can't answer.
I'm trying to tell you.
I'm giving you an answer to that question.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the only way I'm going to find out.
You said, what was one of the questions you asked today? I'll give you an example. Pick one of the best questions you asked today.
What am I going to do? Just shut up and not ask the question?
What was the one question
that asking?
What was one of the questions?
So their question is dumb and my question is not.
No, you're not listening. So
that's a dumb question. The question
you have to differentiate between asking a question and speculating on something.
That's my point. That's exactly my point. Asking the question.
The speculation is what keeps it going.
But why do you want to keep it going if you want the answer?
Because
that means you're never going to get to the answer.
Is the important part. That's human.
No,
humans are speculating.
You just gave exactly what people are fighting against. Why keep this going if the facts is right there in front of your face? Why speculate when you have the facts?
What are you talking about?
Okay, so good point.
I think we have to work in specifics here.
Yeah,
because it's too
I'm
vague.
glad. I'm perfect example.
Even this discussion is too vague. We have to work in specifics.
With the tridactyls, you said that they modified these possibly thousands of years ago, right? But they don't
according
modify
to the
right.
According to the The dating, the carbon dating, yeah.
A carbon dating, which goes back, what, like 6,000 years, right?
I think they're saying 6,000 years is the oldest right now.
Okay. So my question, and how many are there roughly?
Remember, we can only go on what the hands-on researchers have provided us.
And about how many skeletons do we find of these types?
Of the 6,000, that's probably only one hand that was dated. I mean,
no, I'm talking about how many of these skeletons are all together.
I mean, there's like what, up to 30 skeletons or something.
Okay, so 30, which go from 6,000 to how many thousand years?
To like 750 AD or something.
Okay, perfect example. Fat Jesus said, what if they had a hard time breathing? He's speculating they had a hard time breathing. Going down that rabbit hole. Why would they have a hard time breathing? Speculating, believing that, but they lived for almost 7,000 years after they came from some other planet from here. How does that make sense?
Just the information about what we were talking about.
No, but that's
more like water breathing creatures than they are air breathing.
But you said
creatures,
they had a hard time.
Hybrid.
You said specifically they had a hard time on this planet.
So what Rebirth is saying is, if we know that these are humanoids from that time period, he wants to know, why would you even suggest that they had a hard time breathing? Because that's not my first question either. My first statement would be, boy, I bet they had no trouble breathing.
Yeah, because they did it so long.
You know what I mean? That's what I would suggest.
Have you tried breathing underwater?
I'm not. I can't. I'm a human. I'm human.
You've held your breath underwater, right?
I'm a human. It's a biology.
How long have you been able to hold your breath underwater?
About a minute and a half.
Yeah. So it's hard. But for these beings, it's assumed that they're able to actually hold their breath longer.
No, I'm not even questioning that. You said they had a hard time breathing or sustaining life on this planet because they came from somewhere else. Why speculate that if they lived from 6,000 years to 750 AD, possibly?
Look at the
That's
delicate
thousands of years.
See, but
I'm not saying that they weren't living longer than that. I think they've been here for a long time.
No, but
this bone here.
But that's what
I'm just bringing the thought that maybe they're not evolved on Earth.
I'm not sure if
maybe they came to Earth
now, guys.
No, I'm not even questioning that anymore.
That's what some people are talking about, that they're
they're
not part of the Earth. They're actually from somewhere else, from another planet.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I want to know is like how.
I would like to know where their ship is if they did come from another planet. So show me proof.
Yeah, I was just wondering because I don't want my name to be attached to speculation. That's why I'm letting everybody know that's watching this that I don't speculate on.
I mean, nobody's gonna attach you to speculation, dude. I'm an anthropologist. I'm always asking questions all day long.
That's what I'm saying. That's why
there are facts, and then there are people that talk about imagination. We talk about the psychology and the imaginations of dreams in anthropology. Anthropology comes from all types of stuff, man.
Oh, trust me. I took me a couple of classes on anthropology from college. Yeah, I definitely.
Again, what he's saying is, though, it's good to ask questions and it's good to speculate, I think, but there has to be some rationale.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying is because in reality,
I'm sorry if I ruffled your feathers on the anthropology.
I don't even know. I think honestly, I just think he wants. Originally, he just wants to know why you think that. That's
all I want to know.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just a simple question.
Anthropology is a scientific and humanistic study of the humanity, covering human evolution, biology, past societies, and present-day culture.
No, we're not
looks at what makes us human, biological, historical, and social perspectives.
We're not talking about. We're not talking about.
Everybody to know what it is about because it seems like everyone has some kind of imagination.
The point was you said they had trouble breathing. He just wants to know why you think that. Maybe it is a good reason that you would think that.
Yeah, that's why I want to know. If you bring it up, I want to know. That's the problem with a lot of people is they speculate and they don't.
Some people.
They don't know. A lot of people speculate and they don't understand. They don't even try to understand their own thing.
Just for the viewers that you'd like to appeal to. Why did you originally suggest that they might have had trouble breathing?
When we talked about in past podcasts on the Tridactyls, we talked about how the ribs were more they they would constrict more within the body in a circular motion. There was some of the ones that you brought
the
up.
circular ribs, absolutely. The circular ribs probably supported a breathing system, whether it was cutaneous or not. Yes.
Yeah, and we made a couple of hypotheses on that body was mostly a water breathing, more
Yeah,
water
they're
breathing
marine- they're marine-
more
absolutely.
marine type than it is air type of tridactyl. So we also came up with the idea that there are different types of tridactyls and that they are a society of hybrids.
Correct.
Because there were different types. Not all of them are the same.
Correct.
Some are wrapped up with the ribs. Others had wings. Others are different. They're not like human beings. Us human beings, we all seem to have the same type of bone structure. Although we do have some human beings that we call them deformities, but they could be genetics involved. That we may have come from a hybrid, and some people are assuming that we might be hybrids of something else. But they call them deformities.
If they're amphibian based, right? The frog can breathe in land and water, but would a frog be comfortable in a dry environment? Probably not, right?
Well, that's what I was saying is that how do you look at the ribs and say that they had a hard time breathing?
Toad wouldn't.
Because if their evolution happened on Earth, if they went from 6,000 to 750 AD, obviously they changed enough to be able to live on this planet long enough to survive. I mean, in all reality, breathing is dependent on the person's body. We don't.
So maybe the speculation's okay.
We're assuming that they're evolving naturally along like all the other animals. What if they self-evolve? Maybe they're so advanced coming from another planet that they can evolve themselves.
But see, now this is where we can stop you though at this point. Why do you say another planet? See?
I don't know. I don't have concrete proof that they came from another planet. I don't know where their ship is. I don't know if they have technology.
That's what he's saying is kind of a problem.
I don't even know the tools. They dug these things up without showing us their tools.
That's what he's saying is that you're speculating. It's like he says, a rabbit hole. You're speculating without a specific, right? Yeah.
Like if I speculate,
these are not my questions. These are questions from people that have been writing them down under all the Tridactyl forums. So I've been reading everybody's Tridactyl forums.
So
and they say
there's no evidence
aliens. These are not humans.
At this point, there's no evidence that they come off planet. That's just it. There's no evidence, so we don't have to speculate on that necessarily.
I was going to ask
him time.
I was going to just ask him, how long has this been on your mind?
For me?
Yeah,
it's always on my mind.
Okay, so this is what I do when somebody asks me a question. I look for the answer. What kind of planet would be able to sustain some type of life like that? I would look for all the who, what, when, why, hows, and wheres.
Planet with water.
Because you're the one.
A water planet or a water moon.
You see
a water moon that has a heated core.
I think you used the word disrespect. Well, you're disrespecting my research because my research says that these guys come from here. I haven't found anything. I say that
because I look at it like this because I know my level of intelligence.
So much disrespect being handed out.
I know my level of intelligence.
Let's hand out the disrespect, everybody.
I want to know. Okay, if the people are asking this, people ask all kinds of questions. I mean, all kinds of questions. I can tell you right now, there's probably
I answer them all as best as I can.
Yeah. So my question is if this is one of the biggest things that is to you right now, Fat Jesus, because you bring this up a lot, is that maybe you should look for the answers because
microcosm on YouTube is asking how did they put the implants inside them?
But we're not talking about that. We're shooting.
I mean, we were just talking about aliens right now.
No, we're talking about but we're specifically talking about this right now. If this is something that you truly believe, just like Ed believes in this right now, maybe this is something that you can bring to the table on knowledge. These are questions that I don't believe they came from no other planet. Ed don't, so I'm not going to do any research behind it because I feel like
you guys are more the level-headed person. I'm
not
level-headed as you guys. At least I'm here for the people, man.
No, I'm here
believing that UFOs exist.
No, I believe
and that they've been here
believes that too.
for a long time.
I've said it plenty of times. I believe in aliens and extraterrestrials, but I need evidence on what makes me believe.
There it is, everybody.
So
we got it out of him.
No, I've been said this. My whole thing is about this. So I have no idea. This has always been a thing. This started because of religion and UFOs. I literally talk about this in my podcast all the time. What I'm saying is,
yeah, you do. I have to agree. I'm sorry for giving you guys a round robin on.
No,
that.
you're not. I really want you to understand something, because you always say the people ask these questions. These are the same people that want you to be distracted by stupid questions. What I was going to say before we even got into this
questions.
No, this is what. Listen, hold on.
Questions.
Listen. I was trying to say this like 20 minutes ago. There are a lot of people say there's no such thing as a stupid question. Let me ask you something. Can a pig fly?
Yes.
A pig can fly.
If you could sling them as far as you can.
Can a pig fly? Exactly.
Yeah, you can. If you catapult it.
No, listen, Jesus, let's be serious for a second.
No, I'm being serious.
There's ways to make
slinging.
I'm not talking about slinging. I'm talking about.
You're talking about naturally have wings.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Does Dumbo exist with big ears and fly around from Disney? No, I'm
just trying to say that there are stupid questions.
There are stupid questions, and I think that
imagination has to be respected.
No, imagination has to be respected, but stupidity doesn't.
But I think it has to. We have.
I don't think it's dumb at all. I think
we still
imagination
have, like,
fuels
constraints to this, though.
Humanity. You know.
I think you can keep asking the questions, but I think people are going to keep asking you, why do you say that? Why do you ask that?
Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the answer,
you might have something. You might have something there that we're not.
I require you guys to set me straight. I need you guys to tell me why would that be the way it is. Tell me why that bone on the back of his head,
saying maybe they had trouble breathing,
her head is going to be important.
Maybe you should word it differently and say, do you think they had trouble breathing? Maybe that would even just add a little credit.
Or they're breathing tight. Because there are going to be people who will listen to that, and they'll be like, that'll be in a whole nother rabbit hole that people will bring, and they'll bring it to the show, and then you'll go down another rabbit hole. And I think at a certain time when we have questions, we should be able to. My whole point is, if I have a question, I'm going to look for it somewhere. That's why when I said, when I got with you guys about these 3-fingered tridactyls and all this stuff, I said, hey, where can I find all this stuff in mythology? And I found it. I didn't have to ask anybody else to do it. I went to go look for it for myself, and I got the answers. Now, when I bring the answers to the table, it's up to you guys to believe it or not. But all I'm going to do is just pull the book out and show you exactly what I just did now. And it's up to the individual person to take that and say, okay, you know what? This person gave me enough evidence to believe what they possibly said. I think there's a lot more to this tridactyls than there is.
Hey, I've measured the Sphinx head, and I think the Sphinx head resembles the tridactyl head.
Well, tridactyls is just a brand new name that has been advertised in just the past 7 years or 2-3 years.
They found them as far back as 2016.
No, tridactyls
come to America.
No, these beings.
Yeah,
these beings.
Yeah, I mean they've been dealing with the people
in
South America.
They've been calling them tridactyls since then.
Now look at it.
I don't know how long they've been calling them.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a reason.
I actually popularized the term, to be honest.
Well, they could be actually called Ubadians.
No, it was Nazca mummies. It was Nazca mummies.
It's been Nazca mummies, and I said they're not going to keep calling them Nazca mummies. They're not going to keep calling them reptilians. Oh. What are they going to call them? So I chose tridactyls, which is why I have tridactyls.com, tridactyls YouTube, tridactyls TikTok.
Here we.
I help popularize them.
Who are the Ubadians then?
That is a culture named after the ceramics that they found.
Yeah, exactly.
No different than like the Acheulean culture named after axes.
Who do they call themselves then?
There's also the Beaker people.
Who do the Ubadians call themselves? The Ubadians?
There's also the Beaker people. Now, the Beaker people, did they call themselves Beakers? No, that's just the name the archaeologists gave them.
Yeah, the Ubadians is not. They're only known that because of their culture. That's it. That's the only thing.
Hey, look at who's back there. How you doing?
They're only known that because of for the pottery culture.
Yeah, so
the pottery culture, and that's why I said that it goes from 10,000 years all the way to close to the Sumerians. But the thing is
that that's the interesting thing.
Exactly. What did they call themselves?
They
And
call
why do
themselves
they
the
have
people.
these
That's what
tridactyls?
most people call themselves, the people.
And why do they have these tridactyls? That's what I'm saying. That they have depictions of this stuff. So it's just amazing that we have this stuff out here, and that's why I don't like to go down rabbit holes. I don't have to go down. Oh, are snakes real, or is
Well, snakes
serpents
are
real?
real, man.
You know, I'm talking about like
I mean,
serpents, like the
that would be
serpents,
scary
the
to run
serpents
into
and
one
stuff
on the
like that.
ground.
I don't have to because I can see it. That's what I'm saying. Is
So,
that I can
No,
see
yeah,
it.
that's like the people who say, yeah, are birds real? So now
Yeah.
we just have a absurd, rabbit hole that people go down for no reason. That's
you
not a
know,
bad
my
example.
biggest thing is the brain being two sides. It's not four. It's not a four quadrasides. It's not six brains into one. You know how it's not divided into six or eight. You know what I'm saying? But the brain is actually divided into two. We got the left brain and we got the right brain. The bird has the left brain and has the right brain. You don't see a single brain organism. You see both side and both left and the
Dolphins got
right.
two
Dual
brains.
hemispheres.
Yeah,
No.
snakes have the two sides as well, right? And they're slithering around with no legs.
I'm just going to be honest with you. I think that we need to study more of the water than anything else.
I
I
agree.
say that 100% only because
I agree
every
on
myth-
education, period.
on mythology, on every mythology, something came from the waters and educated humans. Literally every mythology that I've read, from every continent except Antarctica, you can find at least 10 different types of myths about how there was some type of species came from the water.
Yeah. There's
And
so
then
much mystery out
If
there.
I
too.
look at the tridactyls from your guys' perspective, that they would have a hard time with three fingers manipulating objects, then that means they would have a hard time toiling. Now, could they have somehow?
If they had a thumb, I would argue with you, but
Yeah.
they don't look like they
They
have a
don't
thumb.
have, yeah, exactly. So that's my point. So when I see the evolution of 3 fingers to 4 fingers to 5 fingers, I can see that because of what Ed shows. Now, I'm not.
I have a counter for you, though. I have a counter. Yes, they cannot toil with the tools that we have because our tools are made for our hands.
Exactly.
But their tools are
We're
not
made
made for our hands.
Now that's where it comes into arthritis and all
know,
these other
Let's flip it around.
Carpal tunnel of some sort. Think about it.
Maybe they made their own tools.
That's what I'm saying. The
work
way
with
our tools today are keyboards and mouses and some type of electronics with our hands. A lot of people have carpal tunnel. They get a lot of arthritis in their hands and their fingers. Maybe that made it worse for theirs because they had longer fingers than us. So maybe that made it worse for them. I think both you guys are on the right page on a lot of it. I think for you, Fat Jesus, your thing, if you really, one of the questions that really stick out to you is them coming from extraterrestrials. I think you need to do more research into that. I think you need to really dig deeper into that stuff because you might find.
I would have to interview more people that have.
You don't even have to interview them. Half of them, most of them got books out there already that's available to the public.
What would the evidence be? The evidence would have to be some sort of completely novel DNA that doesn't track with anything.
Exactly. And
it would be interesting if we could find somebody like a general that's retired or something that's dealing with extraterrestrials.
But I think that's different still. I call that like modern oral tradition or modern folk still.
We need people who were digging with bodies, messing with bodies, not generals.
That's not science still, right?
You need somebody. Yeah.
What I'm mentioning is that I'm comparing with what they have now in modern day in
David Icke would be somebody you guys want to talk to because he's big into the reptilian stuff.
Mm-hmm. Our rebirth, we just had a podcast talking about 1933, 1940s on the authors saying that the U.S. Air Force has aliens and have the UFOs, and they did this whole thing to just block all that information from getting out to the public.
And the other thing is you can go through the CIA records. Maybe this is something we can do too. Go through the CIA
with the disclosure today,
and type in tridactyls or 3-finger species or human species and run through those. Hell, I would do that while While we're still
Hopefully something comes up, but you know, it's going to be pretty difficult to. I don't think they relate the extraterrestrials with tridactyls and that terminology. They probably have a special, like a number like M2233. That's what they call the extraterrestrial, not tridactyls.
Well, in they're folk, modern oral tradition, they're the Greys or the reptilians, right? So that's kind of what Rebirth did. He did look into UFO.
If you hunt it down in the disclosures, you're not going to find our terminologies within theirs, unless AI can translate it. Yeah, that would be pretty interesting.
So I think you're going to be hard pressed at this stage to prove that the tridactyls are not from this planet.
Yeah, like I said, I believe in aliens. I believe in extraterrestrials.
Yeah, I do.
It's the whole reason why I'm on this journey.
You know, I have to admit, I mean, it's a hard case. I try to be on the side of the people, for the people, and I try to argue the fact that they're aliens, and it's hard, man. I'm put on the how do you say when you go to court? They put you on the stand. I feel like I'm on the stand, you know, asking all the questions.
You shouldn't have to argue other people's ideas.
That's my job. That's my job.
I understand what he's doing. So what he's trying to do, at least. A good reporter, when they're interviewing somebody, like if I was to interview, I don't know, whoever you guys like. For me, it would be a Kiss, the rock band Kiss. And I knew that you guys liked Kiss. I mean, I would have to think like, well, what kind of questions do people want to ask if I had that opportunity? Like David Icke. If you met David Icke, what kind of questions would you want to? So I understand.
I don't even know who David Icke is. What kind of questions would I have?
Jesus is trying to find questions that he thinks people want the answers to.
After reading all their posts and what they believe and speculate about.
Have you ever asked them
a lot of different things? There's some wild speculation, Pleiades system and all types of stuff.
But a good reporter also isn't going to be like, hey, maybe Gene Simmons slept with Brooke Shields. You're going to say, did you sleep with Brooke Shields? You know what I mean? Whatever. You're going to ask the question. You're not going to just speculate out loud about it, right?
Mm-hmm. And even one encounter with Charlie Sheen with Brooke Shield, everyone's gonna jump on that thing. You know?
I think maybe that's it. To ask the questions in definitely a question format that the people ask.
You know, the idea of what I do is actually comes from magazines before the internet ever came out. When people posted like. Whenever the magazine came out, oh, so-and-so was with who in People's Magazine. You ever remember that? And so-and-so is with this person on the red carpet and they seem so close, you know? Now everybody's speculating. Oh my gosh, they have a love relationship.
I think
they have no love relationship.
You should refamiliarize yourself with the Socratic method because it's kind of what you're doing, the Socratic method. And so it's posing questions to make people think.
I hope people do think, and I hope people take your sides and realize that every question that I ask that makes no sense is answered through what makes sense, that you guys are making sense.
Well, because we're going to get the answer.
If I was by myself doing this podcast, asking those questions, and you guys aren't able to ground me while I'm asking it, then imagine how that podcast would be.
But I'm asking
be completely one-sided, right?
You actually talked about this a number of times. So I'm asking, when are we going to get the answer? Because me and Ed are not going to look for it. So when are you going to find the answer, or even going deep with it?
I think it's going to always be ongoing.
If you do the Socratic method inefficiently, then you can cause confusion. Poorly structured questions can be vague or overly broad, and they leave people with more questions. Is exactly what Rebirth is saying. If you're not asking the questions properly, then it's just going to create more questions in that rabbit hole, is what he suggested. Yes, chaos, exactly. And then what ends up happening is we end up following breadcrumbs off the trail instead of getting more to a central point. So This is what we've been discussing for the last 20 minutes. Is you?
That's good though. That's a good breakdown on how everybody should look at it. Because
Yeah.
if in reality, if you
Conversation becomes circular, you know.
yeah, it's an echo chamber.
Yeah.
It's what we just talked about when we first started. You just say the same things over and over again. Okay,
So it's fun to speculate and it's fun to ask questions. I just think, and that's why I'm always afraid of too. Sometimes when I do these
You sound
shows.
like a person. You sound like the people that say it's fun that you like Star Trek, but it's not real.
Well, it's kind of like that. I'm always afraid, you know, that we get off topic. That's all.
It'll never
Not that
happen.
we necessarily do, but it can happen. You know, ultimately, my show is about the Tridactyls, which really opens up a huge amount of topics, doesn't it? From aliens to UFOs.
I'm gonna be straight up with you.
It was all over.
To my belief on Tridactyls overall, and I want everybody that watches this, that we are still new into the process of defining Tridactyls, that they're just brand new, and anyone trying to debunk Tridactyls is too premature to jump on that. I think what Rebirth is doing is amazing, absolutely amazing. Connecting the dots to the Ubadian is just phenomenal, and I think Professor Ekasa is boots on the ground on the internet, pretty much. You know, like he can find every detail that you can find on Tridactyls and in their bodies, and he's asking all these questions. I think it's phenomenal what Ekasa is doing. Now, the reason why I bring in the chaos is because a lot of people are just asking a lot of questions that are just off the wall crazy. And I mean, I'm sorry to say crazy to everybody because I don't like using that word, but I like to bring it up because I want everyone to try and be grounded. And we're so early in this that we need to be patient, because a lot of scientists right now, I hate the word you use a lot, some scientists are studying Tridactyls as we speak from universities, and it's going to take time for us to find the answers.
Yeah, that's why I ain't coming up with no hypotheses or theories until I get a lot more.
You got me.
I can't. I don't even know where to begin. I don't know what they are. I don't know what they represent, what culture they are. That's why I say if we can get those artifacts that's surrounding around these species, I would probably be able to understand it better.
Why don't you at least look at just the South American artifacts that aren't necessarily directly found with the bodies?
I do. I have texts. I have all the texts from.
You just said.
I'm talking about from the Nazca mummies themselves.
You want to see the specific artifacts that are found with them.
Yeah, the specific.
It'd be hard because of the Wakeros. They're selling them.
That's what I'm saying. Is this because I have books.
We have them, Ed.
I have 2 books on signs and symbols or 3 books, signs and symbols just from the Mesoamerica area. 3 or 4 books from just that area. Then I have 2 more books that has signs and symbols, and then I have another book that has the Freemasonry on that side. So I know what to look for. That's why when I showed you guys that pottery with the Knights Templar and stuff like that, that shows that it goes back further back than what most people understood. I mean, it doesn't look exactly like the Knights Templar, but it kind of in a way mimics it. Like it would look like it's something that would be like pre time frame. The crosses is a big example of a Knights Templar. So I always, if I could look at the artifacts itself, I will understand it better because I understand signs and symbols and symbology. That's like my biggest thing. I study that a lot, like a lot. Like a lot. Like you think I study the Sumerians a lot. Signs and symbols and symbology just by itself is something that I know very well of.
Nice.
But I think
towards you in the future for that.
I think you need to look in more in that planet that you was looking into the last 3 episodes. I've been telling you this like the last 2 weeks. Do a show on that one that you found that can sustain life on planet. Because if you believe these are extraterrestrial,
the only place right now that we're waiting for in 2030 that can sustain life in our solar system is a moon, and it's called Europa. And we already sent a satellite out, so it's reaching in 2030 there, and we believe that it has a heated core and that it has ocean life in it. So we are adamantly believing, scientists really truly believe that there's actually life on that moon.
No, so this is what I was telling you before We was talking about planets sustaining life, and we was talking about the Tridactyls. So, one of these books that I was reading, I can't remember if it's, well, I don't know which book it is, but it's this one planet called Wolf 1069b. And they consider this one a habitable exoplanet. I was telling you this after we had that
How
discussion.
far away is that thing? Do you know, or you don't have that right off the bat?
I could look it up.
It's okay if you don't.
But it's pretty far, of course. But they say it's a place that inhabits life. That's possible that can inhabit life.
Our most furthest satellite, and I think we've lost contact with it, has just recently got out of our is it out of our solar system area, or I mean, I don't know.
Well, the first artifact I want to show you is just this this gold artifact here on the right.
That's amazing.
And this sheath of King Tut's dagger.
The one, so it's the one that you're pointing at right now. Are those circular mode dot things on the top, all the way on top? It's like circular. Yeah. No, up higher.
Here.
Yeah, those little things. Are those
I can't really tell.
So is there 7 of them? 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop moving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know what that could possibly represent?
What?
Pleiades, the 7 stars. The Popol Vuh, the 400 boys.
Yeah, but does it represent the Pleiades, or does it represent the Pleiades that represent something else?
Every time in mythology when something like that lined up at 7, it always represented Pleiades. Always.
But why? But what's so important about Pleiades?
Agriculture.
How so?
Agriculture is a time to either harvest or start a type of a harvest. It just
because the 7 is also the 7 Saptari and the 7 sages.
Yeah, guess where all that comes to being representations of agriculture.
Okay, so then maybe it's when you say agriculture, like you're saying it's a time to plant.
It could be time for planting. It could be time for harvesting. It could
be the beings that taught planting, perhaps.
It could be, or it's all I know is it has to do with agriculture. Anything agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
So you could think of the beginning stages of agricultural needs would be gathering, right? Because that would be beginning stages, and then planting would be the second stage because you gather something to plant it. Then the third thing would be to harvest it. But it always had to do with agriculture. So that's just interesting to me. When you look at the one on the other side, that seems like a representation almost as bees. I've seen when they had bees, like the antennas, the bees who need life sustainment. That's what those sometimes look like when it comes to that. Now I don't have a clear picture and I can't see it and look at it for the most part, but yeah, those are like antennas, some information of some sort. I can't tell if it's eyes or anything like that, but I can tell like those are sometimes that had to do with bees. The 7 sisters. There's some
I think this is the problem with interpretation then, because there's going to be different interpretations.
Yeah, and then you can see on the bottom left, it looked like a little slithering snake figure type thing. You see on the bottom left, another one on our bottom right, I think it is.
Because to me, they could be horns and eyes.
Exactly. But horns and eyes and snakes, guess what they all have in common?
What's that?
It all looks like some type of evil type of thing. But guess what? One thing that I can tell you that I've learned about horns is that, for one, Moses was the first one to have a representation of horns.
Who?
Moses from the Bible.
Yeah. Predates Indian horns?
No, he just had horns. He just is a representation of horns. But it was a representation of knowledge. When you had horns, it was a type of knowledge. So that's why when I showed you earlier from the Tridactyls.
Okay, so my follow-up question is always going to be, but why are horns knowledge then?
That's a good question.
And my theory is going to be because some previous being possessed that.
Let's see.
Let me show you the rest of the artifacts now that I showed you that one association there. Yeah.
No, I think y'all two are on the right page. I think that now the time would be for the questions that's been asked. It's time to answer them. You know what I mean? How many planets are out there that can sustain life? How many of those planets have a watery type of planet? How far are these planets from Earth? You know what I'm saying, all these questions that can be asked.
Yeah, to me, I feel like any talk about planets, just for me, as it's not really what I do. So that just
No,
convolutes.
for Fat Jesus, since he
Yeah.
extraterrestrial, you know, how many planets are out there that we know of that are habitable for planet Earth? I know.
So these are some of the artifacts that were supposedly found with the Tridactyls, including this writing that I suggest looks like the Vinci writing of Europe.
Or Saint Germain had a type of writing like that too.
Saint Germain.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you know who that is. This is a long discussion about who that guy is, but yeah.
This looks like kind of the baskets or handbags
Pillars.
you see.
You can see the pillars. I don't know if you know what pillars are, but that's a big thing.
Just to answer your question on Earth-like planets, they say there's around 6 to 40 billion Earth-like planets in our galaxy.
These are more of the artifacts that were found. I suggest this looks like a Vajra or a
door
or a lightning bolt.
Doorknob.
Yeah,
Could
dildo.
potentially support liquid.
So
life.
for Fat Jesus, don't go off. Could go off what we do know. So ask it specifically. How many do we know offhand? Not what possibly is out there.
This looks like it could be a runic script or perhaps a Semitic script. Again, another tridactyl artifact.
There's 6,100 confirmed.
These crosses, which seem to have some biological material on the back of them.
Cross. X marks the spot. The tab or the top. Yeah, so you said 6,000? Yeah, so
6,100 confirmed exoplanets.
now how many of them are watery planets?
That's
There's
what they're
another
saying,
cross
watery.
found with the tridactyls.
The only reason why I said specifically water.
This
What?
looks
That's
like
what-
it could be Greek or Anatolian, and while you probably see the woman's face, I suggest there could
That
be
doesn't
a.
look like no Greek, bro. That looks more like. Oh man, no, that looks more.
They're saying that 45 of them is what NASA is studying out of all of those.
That looked like more like the Indus Valley civilization, if you ask me.
Maybe.
And the only reason
Maybe
why
it's
is because-
Bactro. Maybe it's something in between. There's the culture in between Greek and Indian, the Bactro culture. But I suggest it could be steganography of hidden tridactyl faces within this artifact.
need a clear picture of it. Damn, why they don't ever take any clear fucking pictures, man?
These because
I mean,
this
they're
this is-
distant.
is Wakero
There's
stuff.
they're a picture of a much larger object.
So Wakira, how do you spell that?
Wakeros?
Yeah.
HU, right? HUA Q ERO, Wakero, I think.
Hakiros. Okay.
This
What
is
is this?
this is implants in one of the big hands.
Oh wow, I never seen this before.
Well, so the term refers to individuals who illicitly dig or loot archaeological sites.
Oh, go back to the other one.
Yeah, I think this is the same one.
So who is
Yeah, it is.
what civilization?
Are you able to zoom in on that? All right. Wow. Zoom out a little. There, right? Oh, too much. There. Oh, I just wanted to see the upper one connected on the top. And it's usually connected to the joints on the top, and then on the right, and then the bottom. Could it be an attempt to fix a broken area?
Maybe. It's a lot of metal.
Hey, so the Nazca culture goes from 100 BC to 700 AD, but you said one of the oldest goes back 6,000 years, right?
Mm-hmm. But it may have iron. It might be that one. It may have iron implants, which is not a South American metallurgy.
I've been in a fight with Google for the past 15 minutes about the Ubadians having metallurgy before the British, and it got into a tiss.
I don't care what it says.
It got a big tiss with me. Oh no! The British.
You know what I wanted to ask
it.
Rebirth was, since he's been interacting.
How dare you
with
disrespect me?
Michelle, Mrs. Anthro,
I'm just messing with you, man.
and with Joseph Wilson. What was your takeaway?
I'm talking about AI
from Wilson and Mrs. Anthro.
I just want you two to have a conversation on this, because I think she spent 25 years in the field of studying scans. So that's her job. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, I think that from your
So what did she tell you from her 25 years of knowledge?
She thinks that she thinks a lot of it was modified. She believes that some of them are real, and she believes that there are more real ones out there. But she says a lot of the ones that they're sharing is not 100%. She says the diacoms are also say something differently. But she says she's going to get more into it. We mostly talked about her expertise and the level and how long she's done it. Fat Jesus had asked her some questions. I don't know if he remembered the questions he asked her. He asked her some questions. She believes in it. She believes that this stuff can be real. She believes in aliens and all this other stuff and extraterrestrials. She calls them aliens. She's saying that they come. She means the idea of them coming from outer space, if I'm not mistaken. She also says that she's doing a peer-reviewed article where she'll get down deep into it, and I think that's where the sway of the needle is going to move to the most. Is once that peer-reviewed article comes out, it's going to be academically accepted, and then everything after that, everybody else is going to have a fighting heel trying to figure it out.
Well, that's why AI is going to accept it more so because it's going to be peer-reviewed.
Right.
Well, not necessarily, because AI accepts a lot of what Zachariah Sitchin says, but it also says that there's no proof of what he says. It usually, when you ask it about anything about,
I mean, in general, when you type in the word tridactyls, AI just pops up the Reuters article more than anything else.
No, that's what I'm saying. What it does with Zachariah Sitchin too is if you type in the Anunnaki, one of the first things it's going to talk about is Zachariah Sitchin. It's not even going to talk about.
Well, ideally, the forensic doctors are also going to be releasing a peer review,
and that's what I'm waiting for. I hope one does one a year before the other one.
Yeah, I hope the hands-on experts gets theirs out there. Absolutely.
You know, and like I said, I think a lot of the problems, a lot of the issues that come with this is that for this world, a lot of people who's interested in the tridactyls, which is not that many people in reality,
right?
They tend to either go extraterrestrial,
right,
or they go in, they don't believe it, but they don't have enough answers for either. Like they only say, yeah, it's extraterrestrial, but they don't.
Right.
Give
That's why when we talk about aliens, or even within this group, why it does a disservice.
Yeah, that's why I think so too.
For Terry Jamin and his gang to make their website the Alien Project, and for
the Alien Project
to push the extraterrestrials thing when we haven't got to that conclusion yet is not good for the topic. If they had came out and said, hey, we found these new amphibians, and maybe even released the small ones first.
That wouldn't sell the books off the shelves then. Nobody's not going to be interested in that.
You know, I think I disagree with that. And I say that, and the only reason why I say that is because there are enough people out there who are interested in a lot of these different topics. The problem is that I'm starting to see is that like all the big names, if once they say something, that's what gets promoted. So they can say, yeah, the first person that says, yeah, the tridactyls are aliens, they're never going to say Fat Jesus is the one that said that. They're going to say whoever's famous at that time and say, yeah, they're extraterrestrials.
I don't think anybody's going to attach my name to tridactyls.
When I said to you Rebirth Online, for every Michelle, there's a Dr. Jesse in the documentary who is a doctor in radiology saying there is no signs of manipulation. And there's Dr. Fung, also a radiologist, who's saying there's no. So that's why, like, for me, why do I have to why do I have to talk to her when she hasn't provided any clear evidence except I've seen the people she's associated with. Maybe if she didn't associate with Dr. Proctor, who came out with a bad analysis, with a bad x-ray, and not being able to prove anything to Jeremy Corbell, maybe I would listen to her more, but she's already tainted herself. And again, even in that thread with Wilson, I made the mistake of clicking on one of his comments, and sure enough, he was just being rude and disrespectful, calling people scammers or some shit. It's like, once you start calling people, that's ad hominem. Once you start calling people scammers, like, there cannot be dialogue. You cannot move forward from that.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. That's why when most people start attacking me, I know for a fact after I give you facts, and I'm not even here.
It's like someone throwing tomatoes at you, and you're like tied up.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to explain?
And it's like,
show
it's not
your innocence.
That's what I was saying too. It's not about me. I can go by Cliff Miles' paper, who is a published paleontologist. His paper on the Tridactyls. He's the one that informed me of the furcula. He's the one that informed me of the Gastralia. And Dr. Jose Zalci Benitez, the forensic officer for the Mexican military. And now let's add Dr. John McDowell, the laureate for the Gradwell Award, which means he was the leading forensic doctor in 2024 in America.
Yeah,
so
you
it's
know,
like those three people, I don't have to talk to Michelle Proctor unless they come forward with some. I'm more than willing to listen to evidence, but they haven't presented anything, and it's hard to listen. Again, I tune them out when I hear the ad hominem, when I hear the police. I mean, Michelle literally painted herself as a victim, like, I've been hurt by this, misinformation, to paraphrase. And it's just like, what are you talking about, lady?
No, I get what you're saying. I didn't realize that you had other people that were specialists in the field also. I thought you was just going off of,
Nah, man.
Your stuff. But see, and I'm glad you cleared that up, because I even told her this. I even said this. And remember what I said?
It's no different than you reading a book saying, I go by the book. I'm going by these doctors.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Remember what I said, Fat Jesus, in that discussion? I said you can have two PhDs in the same class, went to the same class, the same school.
Yeah, he said
and have two different opinions.
And they'll have two different opinions.
And that's okay.
Now that I know your side, I understand why you wouldn't want to have a discussion with her, because you got the information from them. So
it's a combination. I got the information, and they pollute their own work with bad acting.
I was there when I heard it.
So,
I mean, even Will saying, I'm LARPing as an archaeologist.
Oh my God! You cannot believe it. When I was there listening to Will, he sounded like,
she didn't call him out on that. Too.
I don't know if he was drunk or something like that, but
I know he was angry.
He was attacking. Yeah, he made the whole audience in the spaces turn against him.
So we can say that maybe my archaeology isn't apply here, but you can't say when I was a hands-on working archaeologist for many different firms on many different projects. This wasn't like a hobby,
No, that's why I say, I understand your part. You're saying, okay, you're the middleman. She's telling you one view of her scans, and you have another group of people telling you their ideas. You're going with their ideas because, for one, they proved it, they're showing it, they're giving you the information and evidence to give you enough ideas on believing it. Now it's up to her to counter that, but she has to counter it.
Right.
So that's why I see
they have to counter quality, and they don't really look at the little bodies. And I don't know if you guys realize, but I've made my own assertions on the little bodies that Maria likely had a tail.
No,
there's a pineal gland.
Let me jump in real quick.
That there is a robust
William.
Yeah.
She's using William as a source because he was there physically identifying them. In no way William is
what I'm saying is I do have my own assertions that I would love them to counter.
He's an eyewitness of what he saw.
Ask them about the ear bones. They won't have anything to say because they don't even know they're there.
No, I get what you're saying now. That's why
he didn't run the test.
That's why when I was asking Fat Jesus what made him to believe that, I needed to know what gave him the evidence.
Sure.
So when I asked you why, and just like I asked her, I want to know why you believe what you believe. And once you make, I have a good intelligence to the point where I can decide whether somebody's making something up or not. That's why I always say that I need to hear everybody's story. I need to see what you say. Why do you believe what you believe? What led you to believe that? Do you just believe it because you think life is outside of planet Earth, or do you believe that honestly their bone structure, the way they're this, that, then and third, this is why they, they came from there? I always want to know what other people think. It's not about whether you're right or wrong. I just want to know why you believe what you believe, and then I'm going to research and see what
What happens when you
believe.
reduce the intensity on Louisa and the rest of her skull disappears, and what you're left with, these two robust ear bones that are unlike anything. These are the type of things that team will not address. They'll just say the bodies are fake. They're animal bones, is what she said. That's one of the things.
Professor Ed Casa goes over these over and over again. He finds anomalies.
So yeah, even the main researchers aren't addressing these ear bones.
They don't
consider
spend
these
this
ear
much
bones
time because they got jobs and they're working all day long. They got patience.
I call this the silver bullet. I think this is the silver bullet.
And then all of a sudden, Professor Ed Casa is on it for hours and hours and hours on end, almost 24 hours a day, going through these scans, and he finds things like this that other people don't find.
Yeah, now it's just a matter of we know that they're real. It's just a matter of
if they were respectful for the, and when I say it's not even about me, when I am not indignant about just Will calling me a LARPer.
Where credit is due.
Thank you. I'm indignant the way they treat the other researchers and the way with a hand sweep they're gonna dismiss all those names I just mentioned. And that's wrong. And it's like, even Mr. Chavez was being nice and says, well, it's okay. Everybody can have an opinion. There's a difference between having an opinion.
I have to stop you there, Professor.
And ad hominems.
I think the Peruvian government is, they're very strict with, dealing with South America in the past brings back memories again. This is back in 1990s. South America and the government have a lot of pride within themselves, and they prefer to keep everything in-house. Mm-hmm. And anybody that does a discovery, they prefer it to be a Peruvian that does a discovery, not an outside source American or a British colonial or somebody outside.
That's why even Terry
I have no disrespect for somebody that has an education that is outside, because they've been doing this all their life.
Right.
But it seems like politicians think differently than others.
Worry about politicians.
They control their house over there, and they are controlling the source of information in and out, and they make sure the flow of money, and money is a big deal over there, that they're gonna like trade. I mean, I guess they're gonna try and fund the university. Because they will get funding for that.
I knew it wasn't going to get accepted to the journal, but I wanted to at least keep that rejection letter, which I did. And then since I knew it was
university is applying for funding in Lima.
So since I knew that wasn't going to happen, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a professional report writer. I submitted it to ResearchGate because I at least wanted to get it out there that I believe that these are, for example, this is a marine animal-based hearing structure. I wanted to get that out there. I wanted to get it out there that I believe I discovered a parietal pineal complex, a pineal gland, like a lamprey, eel, or a tuatara. I wanted to get that out there. And the other thing was the Euro style. That means when a frog goes from its amphibian tadpole stage, it resorbs its own tail into eats its own tail into its body. And that's what
don't they?
I think
that's what I believe I see in Maria.
I think
so those little things right there.
I think the turtle is the most successful in breathing air and breathing underwater.
I just wanted to point out that while I do listen to the others, I do make my own assertions. That they're willing to.
Because they have a shell, so they carry the oxygen with them.
And instead, they'll just try to be belittling. So
it's like a tank. They have a cavity.
I tried making nice with their Dr. William Morris.
You can't, if a turtle flips over, that's bad for them. It's like emptying their cavity.
The thing with Wilson, is that I'm like, he was asking questions. I'm like, oh, okay, let me answer some questions. And then he immediately turned the tone to be like Proctor and was, dismissive and insulting. And that's why like him He even says it. He's like, I pre-blocked him. I blocked him right away. I'm like, oh, I'm not going down this road again. With another person who's just going to be. And when I say I'm not indignant about myself, I think it's just wrong that they're that disrespectful to this whole other team. All these other experts. And, when people say, oh, they're South Americans, it's like McDowell's from America, the paleontologist, Cliff Miles. Have you read Cliff Miles' report yet? Tyrone?
Did I read whose report?
Cliff Miles.
No, not yet.
His was one of the most influential reports to me.
No, look, man, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I think you two are on the right path. I think right now we just need to wait for the peer-reviewed article from both sides, and I think more importantly, if we're going to talk about the extraterrestrial side, I think Fedgies, I think you need to look more into those planets and see which ones.
But if I just waited for people, that's what got me into the biology. I was tired of waiting. If I just waited,
that's what I'm saying.
If I just waited, I wouldn't have found my own discoveries.
No, what I'm saying is wait for what the peer review article says to see where you can back up for yourself, because you might have already said some of this stuff in your live, and now it's being broadcasted in a peer-reviewed article. And not only that, you said you already submitted one and it got rejected. Now, what if one of those people submits something that you actually hit on, that you was right on?
Well, I'm on ResearchGate right now, and I think even the guy who goes by Tridactyls Online, he was on a talk with us. I think you guys are both there, and he was alluding to like he said, and that's when I knew they were amphibians. I'm like, well, you knew they're amphibians because I've been talking about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that just give it some time? I think right now the biggest thing that we need right now, is patience. Is because just like Fadji just said, this is very new. So nobody's like the Ubadians. A lot of people, I mean, they can't do anything.
I didn't know anything about Ubadians until you brought it up. And you're the experts in history.
And that's why I say
those reptilian statues have been pushed for a long time. I used to dismiss them.
Exactly, and that's why I say that if I was to go down a rabbit hole, my rabbit, I wouldn't even been able to find this book. And the reason why is because everybody was talking everything besides the Ubadians. But I said, you know what? Let me stop listening to what other people say. I know what I've researched. I need to look for these answers.
Bear in mind too that how I got into this in the personal level was after looking at the bodies and recognizing them. I don't know if you recall that part of the story. I recognized them from petroglyphs in the Caribbean and Canada. So it was hard for me to go back to like, how could I disbelieve them after recognizing them? And then of course, what happened after that. Well, then I found them on Easter Island. Then we found them amongst the Maori. Then of course, they're in Japan with the Dogu. They're in the Permian bronze culture. They're in the Syrian eye idols, right? The
Syrian eye idols could literally be from the Ubadian culture. We need to see because they talk about how the Ubadians went to that side of the world too. They had civilizations there. So
also
now
known
it's
as
up to
the eye goddess of Tel Brak.
So
what appears is like
Tel Brak, Tellibak, right?
Yep. But it looks like it was
bro, that's what they talk about. I swear to God.
That's a cultural center where it looks like pilgrims would go to that location, right? And each pilgrim would go to that location with their own handmade eye idol.
I just opened it up. I just opened it up. Tab. You see how I was talking about how I got all these tabs in my books? Yeah. You see how I said? You see that tab right there? Hold on. This one right there.
That's the way to do it.
Okay, that's what I do with all my books. Here we go. It says this is shifted of the focus of research for neighboring areas, notably the Persian Gulf, North Syria, Southeast Turkey, and in Iran. Local identities, interaction spheres, modeling regional variation in Ubaid horizon.
So,
right there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Syria. So you're talking about the eye ones. So now that just tells you more that when I say something, all I'm doing is going to pick up the book and show you. When you said tell back, I know it as tell I.
Well, and all I'm telling you is what I found.
Yeah, and that's how it's supposed to work. Instead of
I came into this whole thing as a skeptic. I didn't believe the bodies. I never believed in reptilians. I thought that was ludicrous and silly. I don't know how that could work. So now I'm working backwards, because now I'm finding, I didn't come here to destroy religion or to destroy established anthropology. It's just the Tridactyls allowed for a new interpretation.
Yeah. And what's so crazy is this book isn't just one author. It's made of different people writing papers. So it's not one person writing a book. It's a multiple group of individuals from that university or surrounding areas at least.
That's great.
We talk about that. So that's why I'm saying is that when it comes for me with my research, when somebody says something, I'm looking for the answer.
By the way, they're calling it the middle Uruk period.
I'm confident right now. I'm going to tell you right now. Yes, those Tridactyls are real. Do I know if they're modified? Yes or no? I've heard two different stories. That doesn't matter.
Well, we have to keep in mind when we say they're modified, we could say, well, yeah, they're modified. They have implants. They have. This is why specifics are important.
But that's what I was going to say is that
they're definitely modified. It's shown that they are modified physically,
right? And then
when they have been modified is the question.
When and how specifics.
Yeah. So my point. That's my point. Is that even in this book right here, it tells you why people, or it gives you ideas of why people do things they do to their body. Point and take. 2026. People are splitting their tongues. Some people are big holes in their. People are
the Tridactyls may have a split tongue.
Horns in their heads. There are people putting different implants. People do things to their body.
The Tridactyls may have a hummingbird-like proboscis. That's another one of my original. Again, based on evidence, though. What was the evidence from the medical researchers? That there is a small feeding orifice hole. And then what are the purposes of these two ridges on the skull? Well, I'm reminded of a hummingbird, so it possibly could have a two-piece proboscis that runs from the top of their skull outwards from their feeding orifice, and where two tongues may come out. But that's going to be hard. That's going to be hard to prove without an actual.
Like a hummingbird with their tongue, right, where it sticks out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah.
Which would be another quite unusual thing, but it certainly would explain the prominence of forked tongues in human culture, right? By the way, it's saying the Uruk period is what they say these eye idols are from, 3500 to 3700 BC.
But see, that's the thing. Uruk, the Ubadians was also there too.
Yes, it also makes me wonder, what did Tolkien know?
I'll just be honest with you, because I know we've been doing this for a while, for almost 3 hours now. I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. I think you guys are on the right path. I think now the questions have been asked. Now we need to start looking for those answers. Because when it comes to, okay, if they came to extraterrestrial, somebody comes in and says, hey, where did they came from? We have reasons why they came from where they came from. So far, you have the amphibian, reptilian-like status, right? They came from the waters. Fat Jesus believes they're extraterrestrial. So now we need to figure out what planets would that be close to be able to do that. What artifacts persuade us to get to that idea? Because he may be 100% right, but if we don't answer these questions, we will never know, and it's just going to be an everlasting question. You know what I mean? And then that's why
where you get the evidence for that.
And then not only that, the more information, all eyes are on you guys. I don't think you guys understand this. Nobody's going to come in here and say, hey, I'm watching Ed Costas and Fat Jesus talk about Tridactyls. But they're watching you guys because, like I said, there's not that many people out here that's interested in this subject. So the minimum people that are interested in this subject got to take this subject serious, so that way you can get to the point where the answers are going to be questioned. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I always
hoped from the very beginning that my background as an archaeologist, a paleotech for Bobby De Palma, who is a famous paleontologist who's been on Attenborough, as well as my work as a museum educator, could help. Just, I don't expect to have the answers, but I just hope with my background as a teacher that I can take what we do have and present it to the public.
That's what you do.
That's all
You
I'm
take
trying
what
to do.
That's what you do. You take what you
And
do
I can
have
only
and you
go so
present it.
far. You know, I would have a lot less information. If I could have just sat here and we could be looking at freaking eye idols all day instead of the scans. But luckily, Mr. Chavez at .org trusted me enough to provide me with access to the medical scans. You know what's funny though? I find information. I say the scans, but do you know how many times I've just used the videos at the-alien-project.com?
You know what I would do? You know, Elon Musk always says how Grok is able to give not medical advice, but you know,
I found ChatGPT is doing much better work for me.
So you take the scans, you take pictures of the scans, and ask ChatGPT.
Oh my God, you didn't read the latest hand?
I didn't see the latest one that you have, but
let me read some of the stuff from the hand one. Real quick.
Oh yeah, I did see that one from earlier. Yeah, I did see that.
It's huge. Yeah, you did see it.
Do you have Grok Pro or do you just have regular Grok?
I probably just have regular Grok, but I have ChatGPT.
You have Grok Pro Rebirth?
Send me some of those pictures and we can compare what Grok and ChatGPT.
Let me just put it on the screen.
Does a lot more than just regular Grok.
I don't know if even Jesus saw this.
I seen it. I remember. I seen it earlier.
Look, this is what ChatGPT gave me when I gave it the image of the hand. Okay.
Yeah, I read that.
But right off the bat, it says Tridactyl manus, autopod centered. I'm not going to read everything. Hypertubular phalanges, enlarged proximal articulation complex. The morphology is more integrated than a human wrist.
You should take that and give it to ChatGPT or Grok, and compare what it says. Ask it, hey Grok.
I did do that. Grok seemed to be either skeptical or dumb.
Yeah, regular Grok is.
And the thing, ChatGPT took like a second to spit this out. Like,
yeah,
human wrists are relatively compartmentalized. Here's the proximal complex appears crowded, nested, and interdigitated. A morphology consistent with compression-resistant structures, rotational locking, multidimensional force transmission. I'm just saying it went into freaking detail.
Go back up.
This is not some cursory analysis.
Stop. It says there is no obvious indication here of cut and paste for fabrication or random animal bone assembly in this slice.
Yeah, I mean, what else do you want, right?
That's what people are going to do.
Taxonomic impression, hollow phalanges, which we keep saying the bones are hollow.
For your sake, what I would do is I would put Grok and have Grok see what it says and let people, so that way you're giving people both sides of the argument. So that way it seems like you're not trying to hide it. You see what I'm saying? Say, hey Grok, what is this? And then compare it and see what it says.
Grok, you're right. Grok basically said it's a human bone or something, and it barely gave much of anything. It was super short. This is like the difference. So what ChatGPT gave, and then this is what Grok just kind of analyzed it gave shit.
I would highlight what ChatGPT said, copy paste it in the Grok, and say, do you agree with this? Why or why not?
I think I did do that. Let's see.
No, copy the whole thing that is said.
I think I did do that. Let's see what it said. Addressing specific claims. This keeps saying standard human separations and articulations.
I don't even know what that means.
It's exactly what
standard.
Anybody that supports X and Grok is pretty much the ones that are going to be talking.
I mean, you're right. This is contrary. So I mean, it is just saying this is just human.
This is what we were hearing from the other side.
So yeah, I mean, it is counter. You're absolutely right.
This is how Misanthrop was talking, just like Grok.
The other option
is it not a human? Ask it, what does it mean by human? Because it is a humanoid. So that's why it's saying human.
It's a bipedal humanoid, but say, what if it's not bipedal humanoid?
Yeah, standard human. What is that? Yes. You got to be specific with Grok. You got to ask it specific questions.
I don't know, man. After Grok gave the first.
Look where it's looking. It's looking through Red Edit. Why is Red Edit even?
Yeah,
on there?
Reddit. Yeah, Reddit.
I mean,
why
it's
is
just
Reddit,
regular people
No,
just
look,
writing
look,
whatever
right,
comes out their
Look what
head.
it just said. It just says, no, I do not suggest the entire scan is standard human. Well, hand bone. So what do you suggest? That would be my next question. So what do you suggest?
It says no detectable differences. I don't know.
But it's not a standard. It's not a standard human. So it's telling you it's not. So now you got to. That's why I said. See how I was talking about carpal tunnel? Remember I was talking about that earlier. I was just talking about that.
So
now it wants a higher resolution CT.
So I mean, I'm still open. Okay.
So ask it what is the difference? What does it think specifically is the difference between what Grok said and ChatGPT?
Anybody could actually manipulate Grok to say whatever it wants.
Do that with ChatGPT.
Put in a human hand.
I mean, we can also go and there's another reason why I deal with the smaller ones, because the smaller ones are clearly less primate hybrids.
What I like to do when I use any AI, specifically Grok and ChatGPT, I'll ask ChatGPT a question, or Grok, whichever one. I'll ask it a specific question. It'll give me the answer. Then I will copy and highlight it.
Sure.
And I will go ask the same question.
Go back and forth, kind of make the battle.
I'll go back and forth and see what is the difference and see if I can find a middle ground. But it's also about how you ask questions. You can't just ask a question and think that is going to give you an answer. You have to ask a specific question. So you have to ask specific questions like, okay, what do you mean by human? What is your understanding of a human? And you have to see what both of those agree on what's a human, because one could be saying human as far as anatomically human, or one could say human as far as what Fat Jesus says is bipedalism. So you got anatomically, and then you got bipedalism, which you can have one that's anatomically human, but they might not be able to walk bipedally.
There's people with no arms and legs too, that were born like that.
Well, I'm not even talking about them. I'm just saying you can have a human like anatomic body, but
my focus of bipedalism is the brain being two sides. So forget about
that's the other thing that you brought up, is that you said the brain was the determining factor of some type of intelligent species, but dolphins are intelligent. They got two brains.
Yep.
They're intelligent for their environment. We're intelligent.
Yeah, I heard you say about the Reddit. I'm concerned that Grok is using like skeptic.
And that's the other thing. That's the other thing that I don't like about Grok, that Elon Musk likes to hound on, is saying that Grok is very accurate. When it pulls information, it does pull information from Reddit and stuff like that. But I can tell you that both Grok and ChatGPT does that. I've seen ChatGPT. I pay for ChatGPT. The $20.
Okay, how about this?
And that's Grok, right?
Yeah.
See, and that's why I'm saying you have to ask Grok specific questions to get the right answers. ChatGPT is going to give you a basic answer. And I can tell you, using both of them, they both are not as accurate as a lot of people want to call them as. I call them both in lies, and many people have. I mean, I'm not the only one. People have.
Oh, they're using all those damn other search engines, Red Edit and all that.
I think they all use the same search engines.
Yeah,
I honestly do, because I'm telling you, I pay for Grok or for ChatGPT.
This configuration is consistent with deliberate modification.
And that's the one that you showed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you disagree with that, right?
I'm not an expert, which I have to rely on. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. See, that's what I like. Is that you're able to say, hey, I'm not the expert. I don't know. But
Yeah, I don't know. I'm doing my best to look and use the AI.
I can tell you though, using these AIs, you're going to have to ask it a lot of questions. Like a lot when we know that the British didn't create bronze because bronze has always been around. We find that in Egypt. So
Try and make ChatGPT say that.
But that's what I'm saying. That ChatGPT, either one, ChatGPT and Grok, they're both going to come up with stuff. So no matter, that's why me personally, I like to read books, because then I can take what I've read, put it both in ChatGPT, and I can tell you there's a lot of times a lot of the information that I find in these books is not in ChatGPT or Grok. A lot of times
That's
they don't.
Crazy too. I mean, it's like, don't they have an encyclopedia? Don't they?
What technically
read too?
Technically, some of them. I know ChatGPT. I'm not sure about Grok, but if you ask it for sources, you have to be specific. Ask it for a peer-reviewed article. Give me a book. Give me
peer review article, Ed,
or something like that. It'll tell you.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a Tridactyl peer review article. It could be human, animals.
Nazca mummy. It would be Nazca mummy.
Or even Egyptian mummies or whatever, you know.
I'm just telling you, I think
cross-reference with other cultures.
I think y'all on the right page. I just think that right now we need to figure out, and I don't even know how to do it because I'm not the one that really.
All we can do is keep trying on our own until,
like you said before, we have to be patient because this is fairly new. It takes time for all this to come out.
Yeah. So all we can do is keep trying to do what we can.
If we had all the greatest minds in the world working on this one subject, then of course it would go 50 times faster. But it's not an important thing. I think curing cancer is probably more important.
I don't know if this is the right.
You can definitely have many things important at the same time. I always was a believer of that. You can. It's just like when people.
We do have the amount of people on the planet for that. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think I can't focus on cancer because I don't have no knowledge in that field at all. So that'd be a waste of time for me to focus on that. But what I can focus on is my
terrible
history.
With math.
But I can also
do any of that stuff.
But I can also see. But you can also look at the history of cancer. Like where did it? Like, I mean, it'll be hard. But I mean, my point is just this: everybody has their own specialty. You got to use your specialty to the best of your ability. Don't use your specialty based off of.
Maybe I'm a proponent for the brain chip technology. Maybe the brain chip technology.
No, I
give me the ability.
I learned a long time ago in this field, in this history field, when it comes up to finding the truth, people are going to lead you astray no matter what. That's why they ask some of the stupidest questions. That's why I brought up that whole part about, is there a stupid question? Yeah, there's a stupid question, because why in the hell would I go down the rabbit hole?
That's a stupid question for you. It could be a non-stupid question in a large group in a pub. Drinking. It could be the smartest question in a pub.
If we in the bar drinking and we're having a good time and some idiot comes up to me and says, "Yo,
you just called him an idiot." He could be the town, the guy that won king of the town. He brought up to you. It's a dumb question, but the town is like, dude, that's the best question in the world.
Like I said, if some idiot came up to me and said, "Hey, bro, Rebirth, can pigs fly?" I'm probably going to look at you, turn around, go buy me a beer.
And then they take you to the farm and they start slinging pigs. That's how a pig flies.
And I'm going to be like, why am I wasting my time around speaking about
You would
this?
never hang around people like that. I mean, it'll be hard for you to hang around in small towns when I hung around in small towns. I'm
myself down for people, bro. I'm trying to elevate myself.
I lived around a lot of different cultures. I would say some. I hate to say a lot, but I would be around people that drove monster trucks and go to races and drink a lot of beer. And that's not intelligent. Intellectual like this right here. This is very intellectual. This is probably really beautiful to be around people like yourself and Ed. But I've been around cultures where it has never been like this. It's blank in the head. Like we would do stuff that are really ridiculous, and that would be the fun part of life.
You know, I see a lot of misinformation shared because of stupid questions, and I think that's why it gets my blood pressure up, because I don't like to ask somebody a question that I don't think I have an answer for yet already. Meaning that if I'm in the history field, like my whole idea is who came before the Sumerians, who had a lot of history before the Sumerians, who had a lot
I
of
want to
history.
know that. Yeah.
And I went and found the Ubadians, and I've been talking about them for as long as I've been talking about the Sumerians. It wasn't just until recently that I was doing a lot of research on a lot of Ubadian books. And one thing caught me was this book here, and it wasn't because they came before the Sumerians. It's because I know that Samuel Noah Kramer says that it's one of the inventions that the Sumerians did for that side of the world was their pottery. And he has a book on this, like according to the many firsts that the Sumerians brought to that area. It wasn't until I started doing a lot of research that I found out the Ubadians actually came before. So when I hear people like Billy Carson and Paul Wallace and all these people talk about the Sumerians and never talk about the Ubadians, it lets me know that they're only following what's popular as far as the subject. That's a popular subject that everybody's talking about. Why? Because the Anunnaki. But like I just said earlier, I was reading in that book that they had pottery of what is a description or a depiction of Marduk. Well, Marduk didn't come around until the Babylonian time frame.
Yeah.
Marduk is not in the Sumerian myth. He's only in the Babylonian time frame, and Chaldeans, of course, because they're one and the same. But when I read,
they changed the name. Is that probably what it was?
No, they used the word Marduk.
Oh,
That's
yeah?
what's shocking to me. That's why I'm saying is that if I was to go down the rabbit holes that I was going to go down and listen to all the questions everybody was giving me or asking,
is Marduk Orion in the stars?
No, I don't know. So I don't know. He
has a sword, right?
Well, a lot of things has a lot of swords, but
yeah,
a lot of people,
true.
Marduk, he is considered a type of a planet because in certain texts, like it's supposed to split Earth in half. Yeah. Earth is supposed to be a serpent depending on certain texts. So in reality, Marduk is supposed to be like a planet of some sort, not a star system or anything. Could have.
There are some people that are in astronomy that have mentioned that there are protoplanets that do join into our solar system that come from outside.
Yeah, that come in. Yeah. That's what they call Nibiru. Yeah. They think Nibiru is that. But like I said,
protoplanet that joins in, and it comes from another solar system, but it has a wider reach. And then it just jumps on to ours.
Let me give you an example of one of the rabbit holes that I went down that I should have never had to go down in the first place. Zechariah Sitchin says that there's a planet Nibiru that orbits our sun every 600 years. There is nothing in the Sumerian text that says that. There's nothing in the Ubadian artifacts that depict that.
I wonder where he got that from.
Where did he get that idea?
So there's this cylinder called Cylinder Seal VA243. It's a cylinder that supposedly depicts 13 different type of celestial objects in the left corner of the sky, and it's supposed to have the sun in the middle, and that's supposed to be the representation. Well, Dr. Michael X. Heiser says that he doesn't believe that's the sun because that's not a depiction of the sun at that time frame. Well, I remember as a little kid, if I was to draw a sun, that's exactly how I would drew a sun. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about. God rest his soul, but Dr. Michael X. Heiser, I have no idea what you mean about that. He thinks it has to do more with Pleiades. Anyway, Zechariah Sitchin, God rest his soul, I don't know where he gets this whole planet Nibiru 3,600 years idea from, because in reality, when you look at that solar system, for one, it's not accurately depicted. It's either the size of the planets or the locations of it is not accurate. Plus,
has anybody attempted to use AI to time the planets and see the formation where they are and also the movement of the planets and if they spread out and come back together again with the gravitational force of I would love to see a model of that. I'm a very graphical person, but I would love to see a model of our history of how the planets look like 6,000, 10,000 years, or even a million years ago.
No, I get what you're saying, but and I'm gonna, like I said, it's the information. He wrote his book called The 12th Planet. The sun and the moon is not a planet. And we also know that Pluto is not a planet anymore either. Mm-hmm. It's actually, well, it's a planet. It's just a microplanet. That's what they call it, a dwarf planet, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
But this is my thing.
Along with other dwarf planets, there's a lot of dwarf planets.
That's what I'm saying. That's not an accurate depiction of our solar system. So for them to even say, plus I also know that the Sumerians didn't know more than 5 planets, which you could see with the naked eye. It wasn't until later periods when they were able to add different planets. Okay. But there is no planet Nibiru because there's no indication. Matter of fact, Cylinder Seal VA-243 has more to do with German than it has to do with Nibiru. I did a podcast episode on it. And the other thing is, I seen you had posted something about 3 weeks ago on Facebook. It popped up on my feed on my Facebook, Fat Jesus. Some lady talking about Planet Nibiru and Anunnaki and all this other stuff and how long they lived. I actually did a podcast.
Chaos.
I actually did a podcast on how they can determine how old these gods actually lived. And it was a way that they did mathematics. So when they say that these gods lived for thousands and thousands of years through the Sumerian king list, I actually explained using what I did in a book that I had that just showed exactly how it was determined. So it wasn't, so they didn't live. So if you do the math correctly, it literally converts to how many lives a human would have lived. So when it says that like one of these gods lived for 24,000 years, there's a certain way to do that math. And I can't remember it specifically because I was reading from the book itself. But I have a post on it. I think I have it on X, matter of fact. I'll see if I can find it. And then we
Fun fact, Voyager 1, being our oldest satellite that traveled out of our solar system, being billions of light years away right now, has discovered that being outside of the sun's gravitational field, space is a lot more dense, meaning that it's heavy, like it's heavier, not lighter. And they assumed on Earth, all scientists assumed that space is lighter. But when it got out of the gravitational force of the sun, a lot of things went different. And the spacecraft is not really made for all that. So the compactness of space is so dense that it really makes things slower for the craft itself to move. But it's not like to a halt or anything. It's still moving quite fast, over 35,000. But it's I just wanted to bring that up. It's pretty cool.
Man, I have it. I'm pretty sure I have it. I'm gonna have to look. I don't even know what episode it is, so I'm gonna have to go look through which episode it was to see.
I don't know how a planet can travel outside from another solar system to this one through the denseness of space. That's why I brought that up. So if there is a planet out there that travels into our system, into between Jupiter and Mars, it's got to still be in our solar system, not separate. Either that or it's a big spaceship that's shaped like a planet. That's one of the two things.
Yeah, but it sounds like he just made it completely. And what ends up happening is then all these other alternative history buffs run with it. I don't understand that. I guess because they assume that he did his research.
I'm going to play it for you so you can watch it, explaining how the kings lived so long. Here,
if you're going to make a spaceship, why not make it a planet? I mean, why break away from the one thing that you were evolved from? That's the one shape.
Tell me if this makes sense. I'm going to bring it up. Hold on. Because this is actually, here we go. Yeah, here we go. So let me share this screen. I want you to I want you to really
okay, have you shared it yet?
Hold on. I know exactly where the full video is too. So the full video, I'm gonna show you the full video in a second. Hold on. Turn on the sound, share. Here we go. So this is actually what I explained. It's cut off because it's a short, of course. So this is a short that I did. I'll give you the exact episode where I explain how these gods lived for thousands of years, and then you tell me.
Are you
if I'm
sharing
right.
your screen to us? Oh,
Yeah, I'm
okay.
sharing it right now. Yeah, as soon
He
as he
hasn't
brings
shared
it up.
it yet.
Yeah,
Has
it
he?
is.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
So this is it right here. Tell me if you can hear this. Hold on, let me see. Let me make sure I turn it up. Yeah. Modern explanation. You hear it? The extremely large. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I hear it.
Here we go. This is the explanation. Modern explanation. The extremely large reigning links in the Sumerian kings list come from Sumerian sacred mathematics. Okay, this is when we're going to talk about how long they lived. All right, rather than from a concept of literal human lifespan, the text uses a base 60 system built on units such as Sos meaning 60, Ner meaning 600, and Sar meaning 3,600. Right? Numbers associated with the cosmic order, divine legitimacy, and completeness. When these figures are read literally as solar years, the antediluvian kings are said to rule for tens of thousands of years, with total reigns exceeding 240,000 years. But the text never claims that ordinary humans live this long. That's why when they read this stuff, a lot of people, a lot of individuals will sit here and say, "Oh, you know what I'm saying? These guys live for thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of years." Okay, we'll go with that. All right. When these figures are read literally as solar years, the antediluvian kings are said to rule for tens of thousands of years, with total reigns exceeding 240,000 years. But the text never claims that ordinary humans live this long. To express these figures in normal human lifespan using modern time, one possible mathematical interpretation is to treat the recorded totals as days rather than years, and then convert them into solar years by dividing by 365. All right, follow me with this. All right, just follow me with this. Okay, using this method, a reign of 28,800 becomes approximately, let me say this again, using this method, a reign of 28,800 becomes approximately 79 years, and a reign of 36,000 becomes approximately 99 years, while 43,200 converts to about 118 years. See that?
Yeah.
Modern explanation.
Yeah.
The extremely large reigning length. Yeah, that's what I was telling you, bro. The link is, hold on, I'm gonna share this. The episode is actually this episode. So if anybody wants to go back and watch it, just for clarification's sake, so they can say, hey, look, I want to see exactly what this dude was about. It was the Chariots of the Gods episode that I did on
I remember that
on Eric von Däniken. And I actually I'm gonna see if I can bring it up. So bring up the screen share.
So how long ago in human years was it?
Here we go. Look, this is where I started it at. So bring up that screen share so people can read this for themselves. This is actually a snippet. This is actually the snippet right here. So this is where I was saying it, 22 minutes in of an hour and 12 minutes of Chariots of the Gods. I was talking about this because of Eric von Däniken's book. So you can take this figure right here.
365?
Yeah, I'll read it real quick, just real quick for you. When you see those huge numbers in Sumerian king lists, one simple way to make sense of them is to stop treating them as years and instead treat them like days, then convert them into normal human years the way we do today. You do that by dividing the number by 365. When you take 28,800 and divide it by 365, you get about 79 years, which is a normal, not human lifespan. When you divide 36,000 by 365, when you divide 306, what I say? Yeah, when you divide 36,000 by 365, you get 99 years. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to ChatGPT real quick. And I'm going to ask it, is this accurate? For the Sumerian king list. And I'm going to let you see what it says. And it's crazy because when you do the math correctly, I'm not a math person at all. So
What comes up?
It's just finished. So here I'm about to screen share it. So, oh shit, that's not it. So I'm not a math, so I took this from a book that I was reading, or books that I was reading. I think this is it. So, of course, it says, no, this interpretation is not accurate or supported by scholarly understanding of the Sumerian king list, which I understand 100%. I'm sharing it, Ed, if you see it. So it's obvious that this is not granted by the academic side, right? Yeah, that's it. So it says this interpretation is not accurate by academia. But then when you come down here, it says the days instead of years idea, your image suggests dividing those numbers by 365 to get human lifespans. 28,000 divided by 365 is 79 years. That's why I say I know my shit. People can't tell me shit. Okay. When people tell me and say, hey, bro, how did they live 28,000 years? I'm saying, do you know how they divided this? Because you got to remember, they didn't have every day was important to them.
And so the 28,000 years isn't years.
It's 28,800 years. You got to divide that by 365.
So what is that number representing then? The 28,000?
That's supposed to be, well, here, let me make sure. I want ChatGPT to explain it better than I will.
Okay.
I'll explain it, but I want ChatGPT to explain it because I want you to understand what the 28,000 means and all that stuff. So you see how it says the most complete and famous version lists 8 kings across 5 cities, floods with this reign of. This is the years that they're supposedly led. 1 Sar is 3,600, 1 Ner is 600, and 1 Sauce is 60. That's what I was talking about in that. So base here. Let me see. Let me do something real quick. So basically,
and those are like days or something.
This is what I'm about to ask it.
That's why you're dividing by 365.
Yep, that's what I'm gonna say. Look, so you're saying this is days instead, and then look, this is how. And then it's gonna come up with this little answer. No, I'm not saying these things actually recorded days instead of years. It's saying that because they call it years, the academics call it years. They're saying if you take that 28,800 and divide it by the days instead, like 365, you'll get these normal days. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not saying could this be days or whatnot, but they're saying that this is academically. That's what the facts is that academically they call that 28,000 years, 36,000 years, 43,000 years, and so on and so forth. And it's supposed to lead to 241,200 years. But then when you convert it to actual days, because their mathematics is different, that's when you get the 660 years instead of the 241. And that's when you get normal human beings versus the thousands of years. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
you got less years now.
But if you really look at it, would that not be a great answer to your question? Why does it say they live for thousands of years?
Yeah. At least provides an explanation to.
So look, if you count it, so I'm going to go to my calendar real quick. So if you go to a calendar and you type 365 days, right? 365 days, right? Or I'm sorry. I'm going to say 28,000 years divided by 365. That means 365 goes into 28,000 how many times? 76 times, right? I'm not good with that, so you're going to have to help me with this, right? Something like that, right?
I would run it through a calculator.
See, that's why I said I ain't good at math. But all I'm saying is that
we're going to have to hire a math person.
All I'm saying is that to keep it simple is that they're saying convert that 28,000 to solar days. change the recorded years to solar days. Let me see if I so basically I'm gonna type it right here. So basically change the recorded years to days. And I did a whole freaking breakdown on this using both. See, yes, that's exactly what the days instead of years idea is posed. So instead of that being 28,000 years, because they came up with that using the 360 SARs. Remember I was talking about? Oh, where's it at? Oh, it's up here. Yeah, right here. You see where it says 3,600 SARs, and it says, oh no, that's not the one. God damn it. Where is it? Yeah, there we go. SARS 3,600. The NER right here.
1 SAR equals
Yeah, you see that?
3,600.
Yeah, you see that? So
Is that
depending
3,600 years?
Yes.
Okay. It should
And
be
then-
typed in
Well,
3,000.
not 3,600. Well, not
Days.
necessarily years, but 3,600. So it could be years, days, months, whatever.
You're
It's just
always
3,000.
you're always looking for the truth. I mean, I would like to know exactly what that means.
Well, it just means 3,600. So it could mean anything like 3,600 days, 3,600 cows, 3,600 PlayStations, 3,600 steaks, 3,600. That's what a SAR means. It's like quarter. You see what I'm saying? And then the NER is 600 and the sauce is 60. So what they're saying is taking this number right here, the thousands, where it's at, change those into days. Because they're saying this is years. We would consider that years because that's how our calendar is for today. You know what I'm saying? We consider our calendar. Back then, every day could have been a new beginning. You ever heard that saying? So that's why if you look at it, these gods, the Sumerian king list, they didn't live that long. They lived just as long as possibly any normal human could possibly live.
I was considering that it was representative of a lineage.
I mean, it could be.
That was one of my possibilities.
I mean, you could have thought that one lineage, like Alulim, could have been a lineage of a person, and then Aligar could have been another lineage. He ran for 70 years. It's just a king status. It's somebody who ruled for that long. That's a normal lifespan for one person.
Right.
Or that could be a lifespan for that generation or that lineage, like you said, like a father and a king. Like back then, every man fell under his father's name. It was no different, right? You take your father's name. So it's just like today. Your last name has been your father's last name, which has been your grandfather's last name, right?
Right.
That doesn't say specifically who
I saw a funny meme where a woman's like, I decided to keep my maiden name when I got married, and the meme says, you mean you kept your mother's father's last name.
But yeah, that you see what I'm saying though. That's why I tell people, when people tell me, oh, these kings came from different planets and gods came from different planets, they just this, that, and the third, and then they turn around and say, well, how did these kings live this long? It says they lived for 28,000 years. I'll tell you, then I say, look, listen, from my research, if you take the recorded years and flip it to days and divide that by 365, you'll get the years of that person. You take the 28,000 divided by 365, and then you but see, this is the thing. What did they consider a day at that time frame? See, we're thinking a 124-hour period, right? Did they consider that a 28?
Probably.
Some people we don't. We ask. We really. They say they know. They say they don't know. They say we get our calendar from, I think, the Nipper calendar, if I'm not mistaken. What modern calendar is from today?
Well, it sounds like the stitching stuff should be dismissed in general.
But I brought that up for the simple fact that people would talk about how long these aliens or extraterrestrials or any of these things live. They talk about the reptilians and this, and they have questions. People are still going to ask to this day, why does this says in the Sumerian king list that they lived for 28,000 years? And I give an explanation for that, and they don't believe it. Why not?
So I will say this, to interrupt a bit. I did add Montserrat's hand bones back into the Chat GPT the Grok, and even though the number of carpals, the wrist bones are the same, it sees no evidence of cutting or manipulation still, which is the big skeptics.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Fight,
what's going
right?
on about that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm multitasking.
So even the doctors themselves can have their own assumptions.
Yeah, and I think
whenever
that's
they
important
see
too. That's why I always bring up with Michelle.
They're professionals. They're professionals.
With every Michelle, there's a Dr. Jesse and a Dr. Fung. So it's like, until she brings something really strong to the table, it's hard for me to not to attack others. Then it's hard to listen to.
Because we're talking about doctors that have many years of experience, and they're looking at the scans, and they're assuming without having them physically in front of them, that this is this and this is that. But then again, we're dealing with people that also assume from their own profession what they believe in.
I'm telling you, bro, when people ask questions, I got it. I got the answers, man. I hate to sound like I'm a know-it-all, but man, I be looking, when I have a question, I'll be looking for these answers.
Well, you're kind of doing what I'm doing too. You hear things that causes a red alert. For example, the woman who claimed that there was Proto-Sanskrit on the Boogosphere. There really is no such a thing as a Proto-Sanskrit. There's early Brahmi script that was used for Sanskrit. And then the other thing this Boogosphere woman does is she ascribes deep meaning to the symbols, that like this means gods in space or some crap. And that's not how Sanskrit works. Sanskrit a symbol is just a sound. It's not a concept,
There are people out there that are more focused on light beings or in tune with nature or meditation.
Yeah, but until
they believe that they're experts in that field.
I know, and you can't argue with faith, right?
That's not even a field within a college degree or university degree. This is, and actually there is a university somewhere in the world that actually teaches that stuff. That's in what is it, in Turkey? I think. Oh no, or in Scandinavia or something. Somewhere in the air, there is a university that teaches like light work and all this stuff, and it's actually a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree in it.
Yeah.
And it's something beyond us. And I'll tell you what, it's not really concrete. It's not something like what you talk about, Rebirth. It's not an exact science like what you're looking for. But
yeah,
I mean,
and until
they claim it works.
Myself, I can't. It's not a fair fight. It's like arguing with somebody about their faith. I try not to get into that. It's like, well, if it's faith,
isn't there? There's a degree in faith. There's a degree in faith. What
faith means you believe in something without evidence. Essentially,
how concrete is a being that appears to people but does not appear to you, or appears to everybody every day of their lives? A winged creature that just appears and then disappears. I mean, people really believe in angels, but the belief is not a physical being. And some people say, "We'll fight you to the teeth." Oh, they're physical, and then
another good one for you.
I've never seen one.
Like Tyrone is the book on the Dogon too, because a lot of people take that and manipulate that for.
That's funny you say that, because I actually have the book from Octameli, the guy who spent time with the Dogon King.
Yeah, I think I uploaded it to my AI at one point.
I got him. I did an interview, or I read his book, and I did an interview with Larry Scratton, who also wrote about the Dogon Science, the author of Dogon Science. I know a lot about them. As a matter of fact, I tell you all the time, that's another thing that I tell talk about a lot is I believe that the Dogon tribe, um, they actually are the people that inhabited the land of Egypt first. They have a DNA, their DNA links up with the Dogon tribe. They have the same haplogroups. You can see the haplogroups go from the Dogon from Egypt to
Oh, you should have had Professor
Mesopotamia.
Alcasa there for that interview.
Yeah, so I actually had a discussion with them and read the books, and I can tell you when you read the mythology of the Dogon, first of all, there's supposedly, and this is why I tell Fat Jesus he needs to do more research on that extraterrestrial side. The Dogon believed that there was a species, amphibian, reptilian type species here on planet Earth.
Amphibians.
Yeah, when the world was coming to an end here, they left this planet and went to their Sirius, wherever BC or whatever people believe that they can see Sirius C. And then when the planet got back to being habitable, they came back here. But where they resided at was in the waters. That's what they believed in. They resided there. They're from the waters.
Yeah, and they were great hydraulic builders.
Yeah, and they were very intelligent with mathematics, geometry, and all kinds of stuff. And nobody knows what they looked like. Of course, there's different depictions. They show the masks and stuff like that. And one thing that I learned about masks is that shamans wore masks because you were supposed to separate the shaman from the spiritual aspect of the shaman. So, and the best way to do that was by representation of the mask. So there's a lot. So the Dogon tribe, the ancient Egyptians, and the Sumerians, along with the Shang dynasty of the Chinese, they all share similarities in their mythologies. You can see different reptilian, amphibian type species.
Right. And again, people have dismissed those similarities as coincidence for all
Yeah,
this
they
time.
dismiss it because they're ignorant. And that's why I like to tell people, look, if you just think of it this way, isn't this an explanation? Like the whole thing with the Sumerian kinglets, that's a legit explanation. How is it that it says 28,000 years? Well, divide that by 365. Then the next questions would be, well, why would you do it by 365? Did they really go off of 365 days? Did they have the calendar like us? And a lot of people will say yes, and a lot of people will say no. But then you will look at the Nipper calendar, the Gregorian calendar that we have today, and all this other stuff. Our calendar has changed plenty of times. Not only that, when you read the book of Enoch, Enoch is supposed to have been 365 days. So 365 days is a very important number.
Yeah, you wonder if the calendar was manipulated to hide things even.
Yeah,
for
so
God's
that's
sakes.
exactly. So my point is that if we use we can't use, we shouldn't use what we have today, but for an explanation, if 365 is a well-known number from ancient times even till today, then I'm just going to assume that these individuals use something like that. Right? I mean, there's got to be a certain, because when you do agricultural needs, it doesn't change much. It's usually always around about a 2 to 3
Maybe look
years.
into the Mesoamericans too, because their calendar.
They had
was so
365 days that share 365 days is found everywhere, just in ancient times.
It's to celebrate New Year's.
Yeah.
No, not New Year's. It's for different people had it for different reasons.
That's my answer.
The time the Earth goes around the sun. So
That's what they
Anyways,
believe.
to help me with my research with aliens, I invite any aliens that are hovering up in space right now or watching this podcast to help me with my homework.
Hey man, we all want to be
live
aliens.
ones, not mummies, real live ones. Come over to my door, please. Please ring the doorbell. I have a doorbell there. You know where I live. You're gonna have a hard time hovering over my space.
One of the things people always say is like,
so you're
well,
gonna
it
have to
can't
drive
be
here.
aliens because they have to travel far. And my theory takes care of that. I'm like, well, they didn't travel far because they're from here.
Yeah. So
That's what
you're
I'm
invited.
thinking.
I invite you as a human being of Earth. I invite you to come visit me and let me do some video, interview you, and then we'll have some truth. There we go.
So yeah, the good news again, just to reiterate on the grok. So while it's the same amount of apparently human wrist bones, they see no evidence of manipulation or cutting or any of that abrasions. I mean, that's great.
Yeah, I think that's a great point right there. Maybe you can you could get somebody to communicate that is a doctor or something to jump on board with you and do a peer review on that. So
That I did try. That's funny you say that. I have tried, to get doctors on board with what I'm doing, because I figured we could then,
with that information that you
write
have,
it together, like you said.
I think now that you have that information, communicate with people that are in that profession, that field.
The doctors, the doctors I had connections with fell to the wayside.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people around the world, so.
Yeah, but that's all I got right now. I had an Egyptian woman contact me. I thought it was going to be a good connection too, but I don't know. I think she's just looking for like a university that she can work with, so she can,
Oh, okay.
so she can leave Egypt and work over here. I'm like, sorry, I don't work at a university.
Green card.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like one of those educational green cards, like a work visa type thing. Yeah. But it's too bad, because she was a bird expert. I'm like, perfect.
I know, right?
But nope, nothing. Another dead end. Most of my things have been dead ends. Even like trying to get, I've been interviewed on this topic for over 30 interviews, but there's still some out there.
You got to give to get.
Yep, there's still some out there that I haven't been able to.
It is almost 11 p.m. This podcast has gone longer than it ever has.
It is a record podcast for sure.
It is. It's a record podcast. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching Tridactyls with Professor Ed Casas and Rebirth of the Word. And please catch Rebirth of the Word, talking about the Ubadians in the near future here. He's going to have it scheduled. So check Rebirth of the Word podcast, please, to continue on with this conversation.
Is that a wrap?
It's a wrap, bro. I think we on to something. I'm telling you, I think we keep working on this.
I think everybody wants to hear the news.
I think
That's
at
what
the
they want
very
to hear.
least, we may have worked out some things between ourselves tonight. If not the mysteries of the world, we may have worked out a few things amongst each other.
I'm glad we found some answers.
Right? Let's see.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and, if I can find my control panel, I'm going to end this stream. I have to end it, of course, on both